Tonight's program is going to be heavy by design. What you are seeing on your screen right now is the young face of evil. Its name is Jada Pinkett. It will become known later as Jada Pinkett Smith, but basically nothing changes. The video that you're looking at here wasn't posted 10 years ago. It wasn't posted 5 years ago. It wasn't posted 1 year ago. It was posted 2 days ago. 2 days. Over a year after she presided over the destruction of her husband's career. Over a year after her non-apology apology. Over a year after that, she went back in the crates, back in the archives. And I could do a lot of things. I could do a lot of things. I could do a lot of things, but I'm only going to do one. What I want to do is I want to show you from Jada Smith's Instagram. And I want you all to take a clear, unprotected, unbridled look at female narcissism and evil. You can see here it says, here's a part of the original video of Pac and I doing a terrible job at lip syncing. Parents who just don't understand. Yeah, but that's not it. Because you see, that's actually the second one. This is the first one that she posted.
Not in a million years would I have dreamed that the Fresh Prince and I would become very acquainted. Not in a million years did I imagine 3 lives, 3 fates would be so intertwined. And I never would have imagined that this video would become a tangible memory of the last time Pac and I were simply kids together.
A more inaccurately titled book I couldn't possibly imagine. I guess the only thing that would be more misleading than that title on that book would be, I don't know, virtuous, honorable, decent, worthy. Well, certainly worthy of criticism. Certainly worthy of that. Of all the things she could think to do or think to post to support her schlock book, she goes and she chooses that. But I guess what it does is it also really does open your eyes to exactly what was going on there and just how long she's been holding a candle. I guess it really does make it clear just how long she's been holding this candle. That this goes all the way back to junior high school. This goes all the way back there. They say that familiarity breeds contempt. And she became very familiar. She became very familiar. And 48 hours ago, she wanted to make it clear, by the way, she's not done. That she doesn't feel like she can indulge her narcissism unless she defiles you, unless she is allowed to emasculate you. That's the only way that could happen. That's the only way that she could be happy with it. That's the only way that she could be satisfied with it. That's it. That's it. That's it. Now, I would like to tell you that that is the worst of it, but in reality, it's not the worst of it. It is not actually the worst of it, because you see, as bad as Jada Pinkett is, the true face of evil starts with her. But it ends, or should I say it continues, down here. There were some people, most of the comments were very critical of her. Most of the comments were calling her out. Most of the comments were saying the truth. Most of them were. But not all. Not all of them. I don't understand why people are so mean and so upset about this. I just see a piece of history and Jada's personal memory. And this is the sick, degenerate individual here saying that. I wonder if her husband had spent the last 30 years relentlessly talking about a female that he had been with before her, if her husband spent 30 straight years doing that, would she still say the same thing 30 years later if her husband were digging up pictures of himself, videos of himself dancing with this other female? I wonder if she'd be saying this garbage. Here's another one. Some people are just meant to be famous. All three of you are icons. You want to know why it is that Jada Pinkett thinks she can get away with that? It's because she has a steady phalanx of supporters. There are individuals actually willing to do that. Individuals so sick, so degenerate, so debased, so ill, so disgusting beyond all description. One person here at least had the guts to say it correctly. Girl, go to hell. Go to hell. I wished I could say that that was the end of the nonsense, but amazing. Some folks here made some good points. You're calling him Fresh Prince. Good night. The fact that she paused, LOL, she don't love him. Another sick, degenerate individual. From a Baltimore girl to a living icon and legend, I appreciate your willingness to share your story. And then you go to her page here. You see this profile picture. This profile picture is taken the way it is. Oh, I'm going in on it to say it. This profile picture here is taken and shown the way it is. It's taken and shown the way it is for a reason. Because then you go down. She's showing a lot of scenery and landscape. Then you go down. Social justice through visual catharsis. So this is a feminist type. Obviously hates black men. I wonder which person on this panel is her. I wonder which one. All these faraway photographs. Don't you have something close up? Yeah, I wonder why she would be supporting degenerate female behavior. I wonder why this individual would be supporting degenerate female behavior. I wonder why. I wonder why this female here would be supporting any trashy, disgusting behavior from another chick. I wonder why. That's who's supporting you. That's who's supporting it. I could keep going, by the way. I could keep going. If y'all want to know, I could keep going. Can't wait to read Worthy. Sounds like a winner, Jada. Memories forever. I can go down the list, but you see what it is. You have to understand, this is the degenerate, debased individual. She spends her whole life living a very trashy existence. I love you. Okay. Another one. You got to understand, this is who they do it for here. They do it for the likes. They do it for the booze. They do it for that. They do it for the likes and they do it for the booze. They do it because this is the generation, and I am going to say this tonight in no uncertain terms. Right now, we are inundated with, and I'm going to say this, we have the most dishonorable generation of females in the history of man. And I meant that the way I said that. It is sad to say, it is unfortunate to say, but it is a reality. We have the most debased, degenerate, unworthy, dishonorable generation of females in the history of mankind. In mankind's history. The only possible exception would be if Sodom and Gomorrah were actually a real place. If that place truly existed, maybe it would be runner-up. I still don't think it would beat this generation. Sodom and Gomorrah at least had walls around it. At least Sodom and Gomorrah had walls around it. There are no walls here to protect the rest of the world. There are no walls here. There is no protection. Anything and everything that they can do and will do is being inflicted on you. Somebody has to tell the truth about this. Someone has to tell the truth about it. Jada Smith is the epitome of everything that is wrong with women in general, and I will say black women in specific. You have a female who is, at first blush, you would say that she's the opposite of so many of the issues, but she's actually the epitome of it. She actually encapsulates the issues. You see, a long, long time ago, I used to think the way that a lot of folks do today. A long time ago, I used to think that way. Jason used to think what way? I used to think that if a female wasn't articulate, if a female didn't wear glasses, if a female hadn't been to college, if a female, weren't cultured and read, if she didn't have a spiritual side to her, if she wasn't socially enlightened, if she couldn't tell me, about Baldwin and Dubois and Garvey, if she couldn't do that, well, that was the problem right there, her sheer ignorance. You see, that was the problem. She's not smart enough. She's not capable enough. She doesn't speak articulately enough. So those are the signs you have to look for. Then I got a little older. And I started seeing what was really going on. And I realized that no, sir. The manner in which that female speaks says nothing about her principles. It says nothing about her character as a person. It may tell us her level of speech, but it doesn't tell us her level of honor. And people, the bottom line is that without honor, a female is useless. If you agree with me tonight that it is true that without honor, without virtue, a female is useless. She can be the smartest woman in the room. She can be the prettiest woman in the room. She can be the most enlightened woman in the room. But if she is without honor, she is worthless. Give me the fire emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. It's over 2,500 people in here live in just the first 15 minutes. And this is going to be a soul-shaking program here tonight. But if you agree with me, hit the likes button for me so that people coming across this video can see the people watching this actually agreed with it. But if you don't, I'll take that input also. Without honor, you do not have a female. Without honor, you do not have a redeemable female organism. Without honor, you don't have it. And that is essential. That's essential. I'm going to come back to that concept here in just a moment. I'm going to come back to that. And by the way, folks may not like the program, okay? That's fine by me. I wish I could say that this was isolated, but it isn't. It isn't. It is not. The rapper Remy Ma, after her career went into a turnaround after her prison stint, Remy Ma, now there are stories coming out here, photographs coming out, allegations that there's been a physical altercation between her husband and this guy named Easy, the block captain, who's under her, quote, management. But because her and Papoose have not been seen together in a minute, folks are now making the assumption that they've separated or whatever the case may be. You're talking about a man who, according to reports, went to go see this woman while she was in prison all the time, married her after she was in prison, married her, made it very, very clear the entire time that this was his woman. Have you all ever talked to somebody who's been to prison and did a 2-year, 3-year, 5-year, 6-year, 8-year, 10-year bid? I'm not talking about some great, big, huge, long amount. I'm talking about somebody who's done limited numbers. Have you ever known someone like that? I've known a lot. And you know what's the first thing that the other inmates will tell you when you go there and you start talking about your chick or you start talking about your dude? The first thing the other inmates will tell you is, man, you better let that go. You better not be in here complaining and going crazy over what your chick may be doing on the streets. That'll drive you insane if you sitting in here worrying about that. You better just chalk that up to the game and leave that alone. You better just assume she gonna move on. Because effectively, you no longer exist out there. Life's gonna go on. Well, it's the same thing at women's prisons. The other female inmates tell you, baby, you better forget about that. Your man is gonna be home alone this weekend. He gonna be up with another chick. You gonna be in here with us. And that's all it's gonna be. You're gonna be in here with us. And that's what we're going to tell you here. But Papoose didn't do that. There were some rumors that he might have slept with another chick while she was up in there, but he's standing at the gates when she got out. When she came out, he was still there. Other females had to worry about their man leaving. He was still there when she walked out those doors. Now, there are some folk who say that maybe this is staged, maybe this is them, maybe this is a publicity stunt, maybe it is. I'm just going to tell you, if this is a publicity stunt, this is the worst publicity stunt ever. Worst publicity stunt ever. I'm going to address this tonight, however, from the assumption that it's not, because if it is, it's the worst ever. If you're playing a trick, you're playing it on yourselves. You're not playing it on us. They had a daughter. They got married. This man has been doing nothing but respecting her the whole time she's been out. He sat up here and taken a back seat while she boosted herself. This man hasn't been an obstacle to anything. And now you see this happening. Kind of makes you wonder what Papoose could have did with those 6 years, huh? Kind of makes you wonder what else he could have been doing with that half a decade, huh? Kind of makes you wonder what else he could have done with that half a decade. When you start taking a look at it like that. The most narcissistic and evil generation of women that we have seen. The most corrupted generation of females that we have seen. And folks, I would like to tell you that was the worst. I would like to tell you that, but that would be untrue. That would be thoroughly and completely untrue. I'm going to come back to Jada Smith here in a minute. But before I do, I have to tell you all something. For those of you who have known me for years, for those of you who have not, I got to tell you, I've traveled to places, I've met people, I've seen things, I've encountered things. I've come face to face with evil. Many times over in my life. I've done my documentary Race War right after the white supremacist Charlottesville riots. I went to Charlottesville a couple of weeks after it happened. I walked down that street that they have now renamed Heather Heyer Way. Down that hill, actually. If you see the videos, it probably doesn't really convey to you that it's a hill, but it's a hill. Downhill. That Challenger went. I was standing in the spot where Heather Heyer died. And then, just a few months later, I went to go speak to the face of the Charlottesville riots, Richard Spencer himself. I went to go speak to him. I saw how cavalier he was. I saw how defiant he was. I looked him in the eyes and I looked him in the face, and I saw that this is an individual who was completely unrepentant, that his buddy Chris Cantwell said it best, that if there was anybody hurt or killed, this was the cost of doing business. I heard that I heard the way he was talking. I seen it. Those of you who saw my documentary, you saw I came face to face with that. I talked to Jared Taylor, one of the intellectual thought leaders of the alt-right, even though he doesn't claim the alt-right directly. Jared Taylor, whose organization was specifically mentioned by Dylan Roof when he shot up Mother Emanuel AME Church in Charleston, South Carolina. Jared Taylor's organization and website was specifically mentioned by Dylan Roof as his inspiration. The people who, quote, woke him up. You want to talk about woke? Dylan Roof said that they woke him up to the reality of race relations in America. I sat there in front of Jared Taylor as he literally told me about black people's genetic inferiority, but that there was nothing to worry about. When asked about Dylan Roof, he's just some crazy kid, nothing to do with us. Meanwhile, Dylan Roof's manifesto very literally says, you're the one who told me this. Your teachings told me that this was the only way that this could end. I've looked a lot of evil in the eyes in my life. Even in situations where I took a crew of people with me, they didn't actually have to talk to these people. I talked to them directly. Not over Zoom, not on the internet, face to face. In the aftermath of these events. But as bad as that is, as heinous as that is, I have to tell you that there is a daily practice of sheer evil. There is a daily practice of evil that has been normalized in this society. Unfortunately, there's a daily practice of it. I can't say it any other way. There's a daily practice. And I would like to tell you that there was a just or good cause, but we call it evil because there is literally no justifiable explanation for it. That's why we call it evil. That's the reason you refer to it as evil. You refer to it as evil because there's no way you can give any sort of redeeming explanation for why we saw what we saw, why we heard what we heard. I wish that I could tell you that Jada Smith was the worst that I've seen. I wish I could say that, but that would not be true. I saw even worse than that. And many of you may be aware here, there was a documentary that was done by the gospel singer Kirk Franklin. A documentary recently done by him called Father's Day. And I have to warn you in advance, it will be gut-wrenching. I'm just going to play some parts of it, but it will be gut-wrenching. It will be difficult to hear. But unfortunately, the sisterhood of failure has made this female culture today. I'm sad to say. I'm ashamed to say.
Part of the framework of who I was. I don't remember having birthday parties when I grew up. I don't remember cakes and candles and gifts. I wasn't raised with siblings. I wasn't raised with cousins. I wasn't raised with relatives. I lived by myself. I was raised alone. It was horrible. I would see my biological mother, Deborah, maybe once or twice a year. When mostly non-African American kids get adopted, they are going through a system. They don't really know their mother or father for the most part. And so even though they know that they were abandoned and given up for adoption, at least they have a wound that at least gets a scar. But when you come from these marginalized communities and you see your biological parents 2 or 3 times a year, it's a scar that never gets to heal, because every time they leave, they're ripping that scar. So you grow up with a lot of rejection issues. You grow up with a lot of, why am I not good enough to go with you?
At the beginning, Kirk explains that when he was born, they dropped him off with an older relative. It's this older woman. No real explanation or anything. They dropped him off at an early age with this older woman. His biological mother is coming by once or twice a year. Biological father, AWOL. And this is what he had to grow up with.
And so it was a very lonely life. And the only thing that was my constant also was there was a small piano in the front of the house. That was the beginning of my relationship with God as a little boy. And I spent a lot of time climbing up on the roof of that small house and looking up in the stars every night and just talking to God.
So you see, God helped him to keep his sanity from a young age. God helped him to keep his sanity. That is too much for a child to have to bear. And this is unfortunately common among females today. This is female culture. Fully accepted, fully embraced among the females today, because you see, we used to have a time where other females condemned each other for this. The men didn't have to say much of anything. The women would condemn each other for this, but not anymore. The women lock arms in a code of silence. That the men are here to protect the society and the women are here to play against the men. The men need to protect us as the women, and we need to figure out how we're going to beat the men too. And that's literally what you're dealing with now.
This record out of 30 years will be the most difficult record that I've ever done and probably will ever do, but it just happens to also be aunt, Deborah's sister. I didn't go to the funeral because I knew Deborah would be there. I hadn't seen her in over 23 years. At the funeral, Melody's dad has a good close childhood friend. His name is Rick. Rick says to Melody's family, I dated Deborah when I was a little boy.
Did you hear that? So Kirk Franklin has to go to a funeral as a grown man. And what I've told you young folks here today, I've told any of you who are dealing with one of these females from narcissism culture. I gotta say it's a culture now, because this is not just a few outlying chicks. This is whole swaths and fractions of the society now of females who are victimizing children with no shame. There's no shame in them about victimizing a child. And this man had to get grown, and when folks get gathered around, all the other people will break the code of silence. The women won't do it. Now, the women won't do it. When I said that we are dealing with the most dishonorable generation of females ever, I meant that. The women won't break the code. I've warned you young people, you go talk to your other relatives. You go talk to your other cousins. You go talk to the people in the neighborhood who didn't take the code of silence or who are not willing to play along with it. They'll tell you what really happened. They'll tell you who it really was. Whorehouse culture has now become degenerate culture. They all got together and they were silent, not for years, but decades. They were silent, and it took a funeral for somebody to finally admit the truth. Why is this heinous? Why is this animalistic? Why is this bestial? It's heinous and bestial because this man's been going through society now for decades. Don't know how many women he done slept with. Are these his biological sisters that he's climbing into bed with? He doesn't know. How can you respect a mother who defends bestial, literal bestial animalistic behavior? You think about that for a few moments. When you do not know for certain who your relatives are, you don't know who you're climbing into bed with. You don't know. And your mother or your father, but for sake of the nice subject, we're going to keep it to the women. Your mother might be okay with that. But are you? She might be okay climbing into bed with one of her siblings. I said it. But what if you're not? What if you're not? If you think, to the females listening, if you think that you imitating and emulating and signing up for the sisterhood of failure and the code of silence, if you think that makes you any less of a monster, you're wrong. And Kirk Franklin's story should be some weird, wild, crazy outlier. Maury Povich became a multimillionaire, bringing black women on every week, lying through their teeth. Males grow up indoctrinated with a lie, indoctrinated with an absolute lie that females don't know who got them pregnant. Every female knows who it was. Every female knows. Every female knows who it was who got them pregnant because she wanted to get pregnant and she wanted him to be the guy. What happens is later she tells herself, well, nobody can really know for certain except me, and I've decided I've changed my mind. I don't want him to be the father, and folks will think less of me. So I'm here to kill little babies. Please remember, it is not men who power abortion, the most heinous thing that a mother could possibly contemplate. It is not men who power that. That is 100,000% female only powered. And the females today say nothing. Even the ones in my chat room, you sit there and you say nothing. You'll say something because I'm here talking, but you won't say anything on your own. You won't stand up by yourselves. Oh, when the men are here standing over you, all of a sudden you found your virtue. But when we're not around, code of silence. Yeah, while you're here and there isn't anybody for you to actually call out, yes, you're going to act all pious and honorable. You go, Jason. You sure right. They wrong. We hate them. As soon as you hang this thing up, man, damn them niggas. Telling it like it is, because it's the truth. And the truth of the matter is that when you become that shameless and that dishonorable, you are no longer worthy of protection or provision. Because you just exited the human race. I can't even say that you become an animal, because even animals do not engage in that behavior. Even animals don't do that. And now the females are so far gone that whorehouse culture has proceeded to the point that they say, you know what? It doesn't matter what you do. Just go ahead and lie. Say whatever you want to say. Just lie. We have the right to do it because we have ovaries. And if something goes wrong, where's the men's to protect us? We want to have it both sides. We want to be the most dishonorable, unworthy generation of females to ever walk on 2 feet, but we also want the men to treat us as if we're the most honorable. I am not going to lie and deceive these men into thinking that. I've always told you that respect is earned. And all women are not created equal. Some are worthy of protection and provision, but many aren't. We're going to back up here a little bit because I want you to hear that again.
She said, Kirk, I got to tell you something. And Melody's Pearson, there's a girl that sings with me. Her name is Melody. I've been knowing Melody since she was a little girl. Melody calls me one night. She said, Kirk, I got to tell you something. At Melody's church, there was a funeral for a lady who is my biological aunt, Deborah's sister. I didn't go to the funeral because I knew Deborah would be there. I hadn't seen her in over 23 years. At the funeral, Melody's dad has a good close childhood friend. His name is Rick. Rick says to Melody's family, I dated Deborah when I was a little boy.
So the father of a girl that Kirk is older than, but he knew her since she was a little girl. So this little girl's father went to Kirk's aunt's funeral, and this girl's father's friend said. So nobody else was going to tell Kirk anything. If Melody did not go to that funeral, Kirk wouldn't know any of this. You take a look at all the degrees of separation. It takes the friend's father's friend to say something.
Aunt, Deborah's sister. I didn't go to the funeral because I knew Deborah would be there. I hadn't seen her in over 23 years. At the funeral, Melody's dad has a good close childhood friend. His name is Rick. Rick says to Melody's family, I dated Deborah when I was a little boy. A random funeral, a random moment in time. This cosmic collision of humans having a conversation at a funeral. Now they're looking at Rick, they're looking at his ears, they're looking at his eyes, looking at his hands, they're looking at his height. And so the rumor mill kind of starts to happen in the church, and then it gets the ears of Deborah. Deborah hears about that there's a man that could be Kirk Franklin's dad. Deborah finds my number, leaves a message.
First saved message.
His biological mother finds his number. Finds his number? I guess she didn't need any money, but if she knows she needs some money or something, then she knows when to hit her son up, I guess. Here's a voicemail that his mother left.
If you would like to talk to me about the rumor that is floating around out
in the church, and then it gets the ears of Deborah. Deborah hears about that there's a man that could be Kirk Franklin's dad. Deborah finds my number, leaves a message.
First saved message. If you would like to talk to me about the rumor that is floating around out there, call back. Just remember, as I told you once, I will not lie to you about anything.
Remember those words on your screen. Remember those words on your screen, and that is coming from Kirk Franklin's supposed biological mother, the one who dumped him on those people's doorstep. His biological mother is telling him, decades later, not years, decades, remember, I will not lie to you about anything. Decades later now. Decades.
End of message. Delete. Resave.
Mr. Rick, on his own, he gets a DNA test, swabs himself, gives those swabs to my good childhood friend Melody, and says, hey, Everybody's running their mouth. If Kirk wants to know if there's any truth to this or any possibility, he can take these swabs and do whatever he wants to do with them, because Mr. Rick doesn't know. He's just responding to the rumors.
And we are.
Okay, now I got to say something about this Rick character. Some people would say that he's a stand-up guy, but I don't say that at all. I don't say that at all. Because he knows. That's another thing right there. Fellas know, and they know if the broad come up pregnant, all right, let me dip out. You see, back before they really cracked down on deadbeat dads, a lot of these fellas, all they had to do, man, look here, she got pregnant, he just tiptoe on out the room. He just tiptoes on out. Well, is you gonna take care of that? He gives her the, is you gonna take care of that speech? Are you gonna take care of that? And if she lets him know, no, I'm not gonna abort this child, then he starts, well, I don't know, I can't be taking care of that right there. I don't know if I can be doing all that. So no, I'm not gonna leave the male out of this because I know how that goes. I know how that goes. And these fellas sit up here and stuff, and as long as they're on the hook, then you can't find them. But they'll gladly wait 2 or 3 decades and then show back up, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, I do remember that there. Yeah, I mean, man, I sure would have been there too, man. I would have been there. Sure would have been. No, there's 0% chance that Deborah, the block slut, there's 0% chance of that. 0. None. He knew. That's why he sat there and did the DNA test the way he did. Here you go. A man don't do that if he's not certain. He wants Kirk Franklin to claim him as his father. He wants Kirk Franklin to claim him as his father. Now that Kirk Franklin is who he is, he wants Kirk Franklin to claim him. Back when he was, Kirk Smith? We ain't worried about that. You just Deborah's little bastard kid. So now that you're Kirk Franklin, I want everybody to know that's my boy. That's my boy. You all know what you're seeing. You know what you're hearing. Don't no dude just jump up and he's freestyling, just ready to go ahead and take paternity tests. He don't do that unless he knows what the test is gonna be already. He already knows what the results will be. That's why he's not afraid, because he already knows. Time for the paternity test.
Hey.
Hey, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Okay, so let me give you these results and not beat around the bush. It says the results are probable paternity 99.9999%.
Percent what?
Yes, he's your father. Right there.
What?
Now, you might think that Kirk is going through some theatrics right now. You might think that, but in reality, he's not. And there's a reason why what you see from him here right now, this is coming from Jason Black. This is actually not theatrics right now. And for those of you who don't know the story already, this is not theatrics he's doing. There's a reason he's having this reaction.
What?
He's here.
What? What? What?
Yeah, 99.
What?
Yeah.
What? 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 What?
She lied to him again. No. Not by saying that this man is not his father. That's not the lie he's referring to.
I buried the man I thought was my father. I flew to Houston and made peace with him. But in 2017, I got an anonymous phone call that he was dying of cancer. His name's Dwight. I said to him, I'm told that I'm the biggest selling gospel artist in history. I'm told that I've done this, the first of this, the first of that I've won more this than that, more than that. But because I did not have you to tell me who I was, I've always been the most insecure man in the room.
You see, in whorehouse culture, your mama who ain't never gonna go nowhere and never gonna be nothing, she might be okay being the block slut. She might be okay going nowhere. But that doesn't mean that your son is. That doesn't mean your son is okay with that. That doesn't mean your son is all right with that. That's the point. It doesn't mean your boy is okay with that. Just because you've made your peace that you're going to be nothing in your life and that no one's going to remember your name, that doesn't mean that's going to be your son's fate. And I've warned you all that you have a generation of women who, if they do give birth, they hate their own children. So she points the finger at a guy that she knows is not it. She knows he ain't the one, but oh well, if this will shut this boy up, if this will shut him up, we'll go for it. So if you want to know why Kirk was responding the way he was, and if you want to know why that was happening, I'm just showing you that's the reason why. Because he buried the man he thought was his father 6 years ago. Well, she told me he was my dad. He had cancer. I went to go see this man. I'm upset with him because I ain't seen him. He thinks I'm his son. I think this is my dad. All because mama's sitting here lying her ass off to everybody around her. And Kirk Franklin is telling you, as a result, I just thought you should know because I didn't have my dad in my life. I was the most insecure man. I mean, I accomplished all these things, but I'm sitting on a powder keg of insecurity. People don't see that. I got into music to deal with my pain, but it never went away. If you all think that the sisterhood of failure and the code of silence is a victimless crime, if you think that female narcissism is just something we can all agree to disagree about, I would recommend that you think again. If you think that that is something that we can agree to disagree about. I'm going to skip forward here because there's where Kirk goes to see his biological father. And then he goes to see his biological mother, and his biological mother has one of her sisters with her. And what I'm telling you all is that there were some folks who did not like it when I started saying this over a decade and a half ago when I said, damn the old folks, and you got to watch out for these old niggas. You got to watch out for these old niggas. I'm warning the young people that the old niggas have declared war on you. Not on the white supremacist system. Oh, they're not worried about that. Far as they're concerned, they made their peace with Master Charlie, putting his boot up their ass. They have accepted being in 9th place, not 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. Why, they've gladly accepted 9th place under Mr. Charlie's boots. Long as he lets them have one of those 900 square foot brick houses out there at 7th Mile, they cool. But you, the children and the grandchildren who will not accept that, while the old folks have declared war not against the system, but against you. And I've been warning you of that for the longest time, that I know it would be a difficult thing. This is a true red pill moment. Are you ready to hear the whole truth of what's really happening? That they've tried to indoctrinate you into a cult where you, quote, respect all elders. And I've told you never. Respect is earned. Many of you listening to me today, you are young enough to be my sons and my daughters. I have never told you that you need to respect me because I'm older than you. Nor have I ever told you that you need to respect me because I've done well for myself. Neither one of those should earn your respect. You should only respect me if I've done right by you. Then I have earned your respect. And only at that point can I demand it, because I've done right by you. Now, that doesn't mean you give everybody the same thing. But in the capacity in which I know you, if I've done right by you, I've earned your respect. There are literally hundreds of you today. Your incomes have doubled, tripled, quintupled. A couple of you make more than I do. They're living better lives than me in some regards. And I'm fine with that. I'm thrilled with that. I don't see myself as in competition with you or against you. I want you to go as far and as high as you possibly can. And some of my children come back and check on the old man from time to time. Some of them come back and check on the old man. Let me know, hey, Pops, we're doing good out here. Thank you very much for this. All right. Pay it forward. That is all I ask. But I wanted to warn you all that this is what you see. I wanted to warn you about these old niggas. Because white supremacy, I'm gonna say it. White supremacy is a group phenomenon. White supremacy is not simply one person. It isn't just George Zimmerman. White supremacy isn't just Rudy Giuliani. White supremacy isn't just Carolyn Bryant. White supremacy is the whole system and society that works together in collusion and cooperation to support any individual who commits a white supremacist act. They get together as a group. They get together as a system. And female narcissism, misandry, and the wickedness of it, that's a group phenomenon too. They operate as a group. They operate as a system. They operate organized. It is never by themselves. It is never by themselves. They couldn't do this if they were by themselves. The police are in on it with them. The social workers who allow the children to be brutalized, abused, raped, killed are in on it with them. The government structure that allows you to murder them and call it abortion is in on it with them. The one that says they can have as many children as they want to in the wretched conditions they want to, that the men will be held to a standard of taking care of the children, but the women will not. They're in on it with them. It's a system. But the most evil, wicked, diabolical part of the system are the women sitting right next to them. On the left is Kirk Franklin's biological mother, Deborah. She's the one in yellow. Next to Deborah is Deborah's sister. And Deborah's sister has been instrumental in maintaining the code of silence also. YouTube has put up some warnings to me that I'm playing copyrighted material and better watch out. So just letting you all know, by the way, I'm keeping on top of that. By the way, before I get too far along here, I want to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program on Super Chat, Venmo, Cash App. Oh, yeah, and by the way, PayPal. We've come to terms with PayPal to get that back active again. So my mods, you can go ahead and update your templates or whatever so that we do have that available. So PayPal is back up and going for everyone who prefers that. I Am Real Estate. Back in the day, there was no cell phone camera. You had to your own camcorder and get it edited with special effects. It's strange. If you was in the hood, thank you very much for your support tonight. We appreciate that. Cornell Sly, I appreciate you as well, brother. We appreciate that. Tommy Felix, thank you very much. And to everyone who's contributed to support tonight's program here, thank you very much as well. Jafar. This is when Kirk went to go speak to his mom about what happened. And here's where sitting with her sister, and he made them sign releases so that they would be on camera so that they could not go back and change their story. So he's not being dramatic, folks. These are the lengths that this man has to go to make sure that these old niggas don't keep lying. I wish I could tell you that he was successful, but
Performance, I always wanted people to like me because I was always wanting to be accepted by, understandably, the two people that I wanted to love me the most, my mom and my daddy. Mm-hmm. And this rich situation has shaken my life forever. How in the hell in this small neighborhood does everybody know everybody, but this one little baby got dropped? This one girl is pregnant. She said, this boy's the daddy. He wasn't there. This other one is the daddy. He didn't know, but the baby gets dropped. How does that happen?
It's called a system. It is called a group. As I said here before, everybody is in on it. And I've watched through my life. I haven't had anybody in my family directly that got off into drugs or got off into recidivism or those things, but I've witnessed it my whole damn life. I've watched as it has laid waste and destroyed people. I've watched as young children with dreams and expectations, I watched as they got stomped into oblivion with no one speaking up for them. So when you hear Jason Black spitting fire, I'm speaking with the indignation and the hurt and, yes, with the rage of these people who don't have a voice. There was no voice for them. There isn't really one now for them except me. I'm speaking for them because what has happened to them is an injustice. And an injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere. An injustice to anyone is an injustice to everyone. How dare you take these babies? I've never been in an abortion scenario. I've never had a situation where I had to fight with some chick about pregnancy. I don't have any biological children of my own. But do you hear me when we talk about this? I didn't have to have some damn fight with some raggedy ass baby mama somewhere to know that right is right and wrong is wrong. I didn't have to go through that, and nobody should. You shouldn't have to go through this experience to be the first one standing up against it. And what I'm telling you is that what Kirk is finding out is all them old niggas in that neighborhood that he was raised with, all of them had a culture of silence against the children. That the children are going to have to play against the white supremacist system with all them old niggas, and particularly the old hoes. Because what he's really talking about is a bunch of women in that neighborhood. It's a bunch of old women. And all the old women know what each other doing, probably with each other's men. Because the real thing is that Kirk might not have dug deep enough, but by the way, probably with each other's men. Now, there there's probably the real reason that they don't really want to talk about that, because then you have to explain who it was. How is it your mama was laying up under that dude? Whoa, hold on, wait a minute. He got a wife, he got kids. Hell, he got 2 or 3 broads. Your mama is one of 7. And she's decided that rather than declare war on that guy, she's declaring war on the baby.
Probability of paternity?
Yes, ma'am.
100%. How's that possible? It's not, baby.
Now, this is his mother speaking right now. The woman in yellow, I don't have a frame of it, but she's got her glasses on now. She's done put on her glasses to read the report he gave her. This says 100%. Now, it's 99.9999999. But they're saying, yeah, he is a perfect match to his father's DNA. As perfect as they can get it. They're showing her, and she's saying, how can that 100%? How can that be? All of a sudden, this heifer, who was the block scooter, is now sitting up here trying to tell everybody that she's a mathematician. Now, all of a sudden, she's a biologist. Now, all of a sudden, she's a mathematical genius.
Yes, ma'am.
100%. How's that possible? It's not, baby. I can swear on my dead mother's grave, Rick Hubbard is not your father.
Did you hear that? Now, I want to just show you. This is Frank right now while she's saying that. This is him. He's like, this woman is shameless. She is shameless. She is despicable. She's disgusting. She's shameless. She's sitting here to this day, right up to the moment, just, no, baby, on my dead mama's grave, all that says is she could not stand her own mother. I warn you all. Some of you say, Jason Black, you rough on the edges. Jason Black, you're hard. Jason Black, you're harsh. You all tell me who has been fighting against this for the last couple of decades of your life more than me, calling it out unapologetically in no uncertain terms. Because think about what this does to a young man, that his mother is doing this to him. Y'all, don't you understand that a young man whose mama does this to him, he thinks nothing of walking up to you in a convenience store and blowing your whole damn family away. He ain't got nothing. He's a demon, but he was created by the devil herself. That's what I'm trying to let you know. You want to know how that can happen? You want to know why you got so many of these black boys going around these places acting like that, acting out? And I'm not even just referring to within the United States. You want to know why you've got so many of them? Because this is female culture today. When you do that to a young man, when you do that to a boy, when you do that, think about what that does to him. The womb that gave birth to him has now declared war against him. At that point, he's going to start legitimately questioning whether or not he should continue living. He sees his entire existence as misbegotten. There's no reason for me to be here. There's no justification. My birth was just retroactively invalidated. How can I do this? Look in the mirror and see this woman's facial features on me, knowing that this is the demonic entity that she is. And there it is right there in front of me. Right there in front of me. What do you think that does to his psyche? What do you think that does That's what I'm trying to tell you. Somebody in the chat room said that prostitutes don't have any feeling for the babies they give birth to. You're absolutely correct. Because here's the problem. Hoes don't think about the future. There's a reason why hoes end up with a ton of kids, a ton of STDs, a ton of mental and emotional problems, blaming the rest of the world for things they've done. They're the most evil, heinous people you can imagine. And yet, they see everybody else as they claim, if you let them tell it, everyone else has victimized them. They will not tell you what they did to destroy their own sons. Now that they won't tell you about. But of course they do it with glee. I'm trying to warn the young people here that I've met many parents out there. Many of your parents or grandparents, I've met many of them. And I just think you should know, a lot of them hate you for being born. And for those of you who have become successful, oh, they don't hate you, they despise you. They look at you in the mirror and they see everything they wish they could have been. To most of the females in here tonight, this is why you are going to have to be the vanguard against whorehouse culture. You cannot continue the code of silence. The reason why the men do not trust you to marry you in large numbers is because too many of you have replicated what you've seen your dirty, grimy, disgusting gutter mothers and grandmothers do. And the men are smarter than that. The only way you will get around that is by making it very, very clear, I'm not them. And you cannot be silent nor shy about it, but many of you are so far gone it will not help, but I will say it anyway. Most of you know I'm telling the damn truth when we talk about these old ass women. You know full damn well your mama's hated on you your whole damn life. If you are a dark-skinned black female, you are at odds with your damn mama. I said it, damn it.
And deal with it, nigga.
Most black females, and particularly the dark-skinned ones, y'all ass had to leave home when you were 16, 17, 18 years old. The moment you turned 18, that heifer was trying to, finally your ass is grown so I can go get me a new nigga to lay up under. Well, why couldn't you do that 10 years ago? Because you were still here and you are the younger, slimmer, prettier, sexier version of me. And I didn't want competition, or i.e. temptation, sitting right there. I'm not breaking news tonight. No. Let's put it out there. If you are a black female, particularly dark skinned, but I'm going to just open up to everybody so I don't have to do it twice. If you're a black female and I'm telling the truth about what your dynamic with your mama has always been, give me the 100 emoji in the chat room. If I'm telling the truth that you are a black female and that's been the dynamic with your mama as she's gotten older, the only thing she's been concerned about is finding another nigga to lay up. Number one, get your ass out the house. And number two, get another nigga to be up under. If I'm telling the truth, that became your mama's number one goal. Number one, your ass gotta leave. Number two, let me get another nigga up in here. Let me get the do-over. Damn you, whatever you got going on, we done with that? Don't you all know when you've been given birth to by a monster? And it would be hard for you to hear that when Jason says that in the first place, but you cannot refute it. Don't you understand that many of you were birthed by monsters? Jason Black was just the one who had the courage to say it. I'm just the one that had the courage to call it out and to say it. But you've been birthed by monsters, hedonistic, narcissistic, degenerate, evil, gutter, disgusting, putrid, wicked monsters. And if most of these females were honest, they would admit, as they have in my chat room, that yes, this is actually common. First order of business is kick you out the damn house so we can get to something else here. That's what we trying to do. We're not trying to do anything else. Nothing else. In the chat room, Mr. SF Black, that is because the culture of the code of Omerta is where the females lock arms with each other. So you see they begin to develop Stockholm syndrome. Rather than confront their mothers, they instead go after other innocent victims. That's when you become the monster. The females witness the monster, and rather than do the honorable thing and fight the monsters, they instead become the next generation of the monsters. They lock arms with each other, including the ones in my chat room. They're going, as soon as they leave here, they're going to lock arms again with the Sisterhood of Failure and the Code of Silence and attack the men. Because they're too cowardly to attack the real problem. Remember, Oprah Winfrey was molested, but she was in her mother's care when that happened. The molestation that happened to Oprah Winfrey's happened on her mother's watch. It was her father that she always said, being moved to my father saved my life. It saved my life. It saved my life. And who has she spent her entire life attacking? Did she attack the women who allowed her to be assaulted and defiled? No, she's been attacking men for the rest of her life. She isn't holding this against the woman who let it happen. She's not holding it against the woman. She's holding it against the men. And that is the way that female narcissism works. It's like a vampire. Once they do it to them, it turns them. Why, they're not victims of the vampires anymore. They're now vampires themselves. Now they're out and about and looking for somebody to victimize. You want to know why it is that I'm as hard-edged as I am? You want to know why it is that I am as uncompromising as I am? It is because I have sat here and seen 2-3 generations of black women with the 1,000-yard stare. I've seen it over and over and over and over again until it's sickening. You take a look in their faces, you take a look in their eyes, and there used to be a buoyancy and a joy and a light in there. Now there's either just some whacked out, crazy, emotionally, mentally imbalanced broad, or some wannabe male, broken, damaged, cracked beyond repair, and every man sitting in here has seen it. Every man sitting in here has been a witness and a testament to it. To be with them is to see somebody whose soul is missing. I mean, there's a person sitting across the table from you at this restaurant, but they're missing. It's kind of like their eyes are grayed over. They're missing. And then you start to realize that this individual is capable of anything. They're capable of any lie. The first thing that men need to watch out for is a female who is a pathological, degenerate liar. That is the first thing that every male needs to get through his damn head when you are dealing with a female who is congenitally dishonest. And congenitally dishonest does not mean that she says the sky is red when it's blue. Congenitally dishonest is when it's time for her to take accountability for her actions. She starts becoming ultra evasive, tells you that the series of events did not happen the way you said they did. And you're sitting there witnessing it. You can have her on video and she will argue, even if you show her doing what she did, she will argue, well, you're just taking it the wrong way. Well, that's just your perspective. Heifer, I got it on video. It's not a perspective. This is a replay. Every male in here needs to know, if you want to know the number one sign of female narcissism that you must watch out for, it is a degenerate liar. You've heard of a degenerate drunk? I've coined the phrase degenerate liar. And when you're dealing with a female who she will look you in the eye, you're showing her incontrovertible evidence, and she's still arguing that I don't know where you got that, but that ain't right. Fellas, you are well advised to take note of that. A lot of fellas out here like to sleep with hoes. I've never judged you about your propensity to want to do that. Never judged you about that, but I have always warned you, you are playing Russian roulette with your life. You're playing Russian roulette with your life. Because a degenerate female who has access to your genetic material, buddy, she's on the road to hell. And all she wants is some company. She wants her life to be this beautiful tragedy. She wants to be the star of her own tragedy. And she's going to take you with her. There are fellas out there and she's looking to catch you being stupid so she can drag you into her psychopathic drama. Now, just understand, once one of these females drags you in, no, buddy, she's not bringing you in to be a partner. She's bringing you in to be her victim. Now you're her live-in sucker. Now you're her live-in victim. Now she's going to punish you. Do you think she stopped punishing men? Do you think she stopped being upset with them? Do you think she stopped being hateful? Hell no! Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Now you're going to be right next to her every day. Now that you're next to her every day, now she doesn't have to go around to find somebody. Now you're there. If you don't believe me that that's the way that works, you might want to take a brief look at the life of one Will Smith, who, for those of you, if you're joining us here late, this is the video that his wife posted not 2 years ago, 2 days ago. 2 days ago. She has a new book coming out and she wants you all to know that she's thinking about happier times in middle school when she used to, a video that she made of Tupac dancing to Will Smith's Parents Just Don't Understand. Jada in middle school was with Tupac dancing to Will Smith's Parents Just Don't Understand. I'm not playing the audio because I'm trying to keep my copyright strikes to a low, but you can go to Jada Pinkett Smith's Instagram and you can see and hear the video for yourselves. How many women in here would be okay with your husband 3 decades later playing videos, posting audio? She didn't make, and by the way, she didn't just make one. Let me make sure you all understand this. She didn't do just one. Oh, no. As you can see on her Instagram, it wasn't enough that she posted it once. She had to post it twice. Because the first time wasn't enough, don't you know? And if a man walks himself off into that situation, just understand, brother, she ain't bringing you in to enjoy the fruits of anything. She's bringing you in so that now she has a personal target of torment. In the chat room, Jasmine says she wouldn't care if her husband was sitting up here talking about and posting videos of another woman for 30 years. Okay. Well, fellas, if you're looking for the right side chick, Jasmine is that's your gal. She like, hey, you can keep talk about your exes all you want to. Go right ahead. Doesn't bother me. Okay. Well, thank you for speaking your truth, at least. Can't hate you for that. She's speaking her truth. Want to go back to this here with Kirk Franklin talking to her. Now, she's sitting up here saying 100%. How can that be? How can that be? Can you imagine when she was a young female? You got to understand. I made my video years ago about this two smart hoes. So she was a young chick who fancied herself really smart, and what that means is really slick. She used to think she was really slick as a young female. You all remember there's the case of that old black woman. She used to be a jewel thief back when she was younger and looked like Eartha Kitt, and the white men used to like her. She would go around with the white men and mafiosos. She was a little black chick hanging out with the white mafiosos, and now she's in her damn 70s or 80s. Now when she tries to do a rip off jewels from the jewelry store, they come catch her ass in minutes. It's like, baby, technology has made you obsolete. Now she does it and just gets caught all over the damn place. Okay, but why is she doing that as an old woman? Because she used to get away with it as a young woman, and she still thinks that she's slick. She has not accepted that she's not slick. Maybe you once were, but not anymore. She doesn't want to accept that because it's the only thing she has to play. You got to understand, when a female doesn't have anything else to offer, she's going to play the card that she's got. And if sex is all she has, you're going to see her talking about sex. Even when she's too old for it to matter, she's still going to be telling you about how great her sex game is, even when it's laughably embarrassing. So Kirk Franklin's mother wants to deny the paternity test, even though it's 99.99999% positive. She wants to tell him, nope, don't believe this test, believe me.
100%? How's that possible? It's not, baby.
Now, by the way, that's her sister. Her sister said 100%. How's that possible? The mother said it's not.
Body, but this one little baby got but the baby gets dropped. How does that happen?
Probability of paternity?
Yes, ma'am.
100%? How's that possible? It's not, baby. I can swear on my dead mother's grave. Rick Hubbard is not your father.
I don't know what happened, how this paternity test came back 99.95%. But I really would like to get to the bottom of it.
There's so many voices out there right now telling you what they feel you need.
I really would like to get to the bottom of it.
There's so many voices.
I want to show this frame to you right now because I want to show, if you want to know what it's like for you to, as a female, to become a monster, this is what it looks like to be a female monster. This is what it means to be an evil female. This right here. She's just out here and told him, I don't know why this paternity test is saying that this man is your father, but that's not true. We need to get to the bottom of this. And she gets up and comes over and hugs him. This picture on your screen, this is what it means to be a female monster. This is what it means to be a narcissistic and evil woman. Right here. It's not carrying around knives and whatnot. I mean, certainly drowning babies, but you get to the drowning babies by being this type of person. Right there. You get there by those means. That's how that occurs. No, she's not going to let it go. She's just going to keep sitting there, and you're going to believe me or your lying eyes. So anyway, they go back and they get a second paternity test. Just to placate this, they take a second. Kirk Franklin goes and gets another paternity test because this old heifer is determined to say, that's not true. That ain't right. It's not accurate. Somebody made a mistake. Just believe me and my dead mama who turned me into what I am, by the way. Yeah, man, don't worry about it. It's not true. Kirk Franklin goes back and gets a second paternity test. So when you all heard him before saying my mama lied to me again, y'all, we're up to the third round of lying now. At least 3 rounds, probably more.
When I was homeless and hungry and begging for food and at the pawn shop, pawning Gertrude's lawnmower just to get some food. Taking Carry-On down to the child support office by myself. I'm behind on my child support and he's got to go with me because I ain't got no babysitter. My car's been repoed off the church parking lot. That's my story.
This I cannot accept because this is not true. And I apologize from the bottom of my heart on this.
To test.
So if you can make out what she's saying there, she's telling him, this is not true. I don't know what to say. This is not true. And I apologize because I don't know how this will be. She's continuing to go and go and go. This is how heartless and monstrous she is.
From the bottom of my heart on this.
To test it out, put it in front of you. I need to hear you. I need to hear you clearly. The little Kirk, the little boy Kirk needs to hear you. Are you saying that you reject the results of these 2 tests? That's what I need to hear.
Yes.
Now, by the way, let me replay this. It'll be quick because YouTube they're gonna come get me. But I want to replay this so you all can see what she looks like when she says yes. Now, take a look at her face when she's telling this bull crap, and then take a look at her face when she says yes.
My car's been repoed off the church.
My heart on this.
To test it out, put it in front of you.
From the bottom of my heart on this.
To test it out, put it in front of you. I need to hear you. I need to hear you clearly. The little Kirk, the little boy Kirk needs to hear you. Are you saying that you reject the results of these 2 tests? That's what I need to hear.
Yes.
Now, I'm hoping that they didn't edit that simply because they only had one camera in the room or something. I'm hoping they didn't edit it. But first, she's got the mask down. Then she's got the mask over her face when she says yes. Anybody who knows even basic psychology knows what that is. So this is where he is. This is where we at. This is where he is with his mom. This is where it is right here. All she has to do is have the decency to accept reality. And she's saying, I will go to war against objective reality in order to have my way. Because I would rather be in control lying than to be an honorable woman and tell the truth. And fellas, the most dangerous thing that you can do is get yourself wrapped up with a narcissistic and evil female. And I'm going to tell you right now, they're running at half the population today in varying degrees. While Kirk Franklin's mother might be an extreme case, she is far from an isolated one because every single fella in here knows a female hell, you probably know 5 or 6 exactly like her. And for her to do this to her own flesh and blood, let me be clear about this. It's times like this that I would long for the Old Testament days. Because in the Bible, it would be taken care of very simply. The elders and the old people and the leaders would each come and lay a hand on her to signify this the one. And they would gather her up, and you know what comes next. And we would march her outside of the city limits. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with it, if you don't actually know the actual history of these things, if you know your ancient Hebrew and history, then you know the actual process. First of all, if you don't know how crucifixion was actually done, it was actually a process. Mel Gibson's movie mostly goes into it, but there's actually a process to crucifixion. But when it came to stoning people, some of you think to yourselves that you would put the person in front of a wall. That's the way you all think about stoning somebody, like dodgeball. Well, we're going to put you in front of a wall and we're going to keep throwing bricks at you until you die. No, that's not the way stoning was done. Jason, how was it done? Generally speaking, there would be a stake put in the ground. Now you know where this is going. You would be tied to the stake, but generally not like burning you, although that, like they did in the Salem witch trials, like a big pole that you were tied to. Sometimes that would happen, but not generally. There'd be a stake put in the ground and your hands would be tied to it. You see, we're not here to play dodgeball with you. We're here to execute you in the most horrible way possible. Even putting you in a pit would not be enough because you can dance around. The real thing was, no, we're taking you over here to make you helpless. And we are going to pick up bricks. And folks, when we say stone them, we meant stones. I'm not talking about bricks. Think things the size of cinder blocks. Think that size. Think something the size of a personal printer. We talking about bricks like that. You know, bricks where you better be the local strong man and you need 2 or 3 folk to help you heave this thing on top of this heifer. That's what they were hitting you with. So don't think stoning as in we're throwing stones. Think stones as in we're gonna drop this on top of your damn head until you are dead. No, you will not die quickly. That's not going to happen. You will die slowly. You will die painfully. You will die horribly. Now, that's what they did in the Bible when you were stoned to death. For those of you who haven't researched it, you read those words, but they didn't actually explain to you the process. Well, the folks who were taking that down back then, they knew what the process was. So generally speaking, they didn't necessarily need to go into details like, okay, I know what it is. We stoned her. All right, everybody here reading? We stoned her? Okay, you got it? Good. A couple of thousand years later, you're like, stoning? Well, what did they mean? Well, I know what a stone is, but this is going to take a while. Yeah, but just not the way you think. Yes, gruesome is the word. Gruesome. Yes. So, does this put the 10 Commandments in a different light for you all as far as you better obey this? If you don't obey this, if you break these rules, you become a candidate for, you saw what we did to her out there? You become a candidate for that. So yeah, if you were the town slut, you're like, okay, it's bad enough you sleep with every damn body, but now you're a slut and a liar? Oh, I don't see how we can avoid stoning you. I don't see how we avoid it. Lying about the paternity is, oh, I better not lie about it. Well, look here. She's a stand-up woman then. Okay, we let you sleep with everybody around here. Now you lying about it? Oh, no. No. So I just wanted to play that for you all so you could see it for yourselves. So that you could see it for yourselves and so that you could understand it. I wanted to read that. I want to show that to you. And now I want to come back to one Jada Pinkett Smith, the living embodiment of an evil, narcissistic female, deceitful, exploitative, ultra abusive, lying, delusional, hateful. I did a post today earlier on Facebook. For those of you on my Facebook friends, you saw that, and I want to take an opportunity here to review this. I said, toxic femininity. A woman's purpose is to inspire us. Jada Pinkett is over 50 years old, over half a century old. And what has she taught us? She has never apologized for bringing out the worst in her husband or her son or her daughter. She's never acknowledged how she emasculated the males around her and turned her own son into exactly the kind of man that she herself would never want. She has never acknowledged her sexually vulgar behavior or publicly displaying her sex life in front of her children, something no mother should do, and how this has negatively affected her own children. Because she is a narcissist, she can't accept the fact that her husband, Will Smith, that she sees as beneath her, but she can't accept the fact that he's a bigger star than she is. And that truth, the truth is that she has grossly overvalued herself. And she's not the center of attention that she wishes she were. She is now on a campaign to attack his masculinity in order to destroy his self-respect, so he will become as small a person as she is. His Oscar night outburst is the proof that her abuse has worked. Ironically, she had the arrogance, the audacity to host a podcast starring herself where she's got the gall to lecture other people on how to raise a family. Folks, before you take any damn lecturing from somebody about how to raise a damn family, you better get some damn proof of theirs. You better get some evidence of theirs. You better talk to some people about theirs. Because if you take Jada's damn word for it, you are going to be deceived. You take a look at her husband and her children while she's trying to tell you every week and sound all spiritual and all wise. And then you take a look at her damn family. It's like, wait a minute, your advice, take a look what your advice did to your family. Ironically, she had the arrogance to host a podcast starring herself where she lectured other people on how to raise a family. Seriously. And this last part is crucial because women are supposed to be the first teachers. They're supposed to be the guardians of our virtues and our principles. The masculine is supposed to remind us of our strength, even if we sometimes fail at being strong. And the feminine is supposed to remind us of our purity, even if we sometimes fail at being pure. A woman who is useless to teach is also useless as a woman, and Jada Pinkett is useless as a woman, except to show the world the kind of woman not to be. Men won't listen to Jada's advice because no man wants to become like her husband. Ladies, if you want to know why it is that you can't get respect, esteem, admiration, folks have probably looked at the quality of man that you have next to you. Hurting some feelings in my chat room, hurting some feelings listening to this live, hurting some feelings listening to this recorded, but you can go off and be as delusional as you want to be. Folks will sit up here and pretend that they okay with you, but just understand when they take a look at that dude you with, That's going to tell them the quality of woman that you are. He's beta, he's a simp, he's weak, or if you a hoe and he got you. Am I hurting Jada's feelings right now? If folks can see what you are and it's like, wait a minute, he took you? Well, he can't be much of a man. I mean, he's cool people and everything, but I ain't trying to be that kind of guy. Somebody in the chat room said, let me cook. They want me to keep cooking? All right. Men won't listen to Jada's advice because no man wants to become like her husband. She has unapologetically made him worse, and there's nothing she could be giving him that is worth that. Women won't listen to Jada's advice because other women see she is neither a woman nor a mother that a husband nor children can be proud of. And that's the only reason a woman starts a family, so that she can have a husband and children who are proud of her, not a husband and children who are lackeys. The whole reason why you want your children to be independent thinkers is because ultimately you want them to choose the will and the way and the family tradition of their own volition, because you know that's the only way that they'll stick with it, is if they make the choice. I have all these options, but this is where I need to be. A woman needs that. She needs her man, her children to be proud of her. She can't just almost have it. She needs it. If she doesn't, it destroys her psyche. This is what makes them into super sluts. This is what makes them into crazy old women screaming into the ether. I go on to say here, and children won't listen to her because they see she lacks the purity that they aspire to, as well as the fact she puts herself ahead of her family, an unforgivable sin for a mother. People, there's a reason why you can't be all aware of your mama's sex habits. You can't be aware of that because if your mother becomes just another woman, follow the logic here. If you find out your mama's just a super slut in the streets and she trying to act like the young hoes, or she is one of the young hoes with the generation of 35-year-old grandmothers, if your mother, who is supposed to be the feminine example that your brain hardwired itself to understand what a female is by looking at her, if your mother, who is the feminine example of your life, turns into just another female, then entirely half of your psyche is about to be obliterated. If you become that familiar with your mother that there is no line of distinction, if your mama is such a slut out here in the damn streets, on social media, on video, on Pornhub, that she's just become just another whacked out broad, that will throw your entire worldview into chaos, is what I'm telling you. Because a man gauges all females by his mother. He's either going to do one of three things. He's either going to think positively of all of you because he thinks positively of his mom. He's going to think negatively of all of you because he thinks negatively of his mom. Or he is going to try his best to go counter to what he feels his mother's impression has put on him. But that's conflict. That one's difficult. So it's better if he has an honorable mother, but he needs that. He needs a feminine example who is an asexual being. That is the foundation, that he learns that the qualities and traits that a female has that are not sexually based. So he knows what is necessary to, because sex lasts for 30 minutes, depending on who you is. Raising your children lasts for 18 years. Who is the best female to raise my genetic legacy and thus take over my life's work? You need to be able to judge that woman in an asexual way. You can't judge her as, you can't look for a female that, wait a minute now, the sex gotta be XXX rated. Dude, if she's got triple X rated sex, that's probably because she's done had a lot of damn practice with a lot of damn niggas. You might want to got to get you a little square broad. Because the truth of the matter is, to have a female like you see on your screen who would sit here and gleefully lie to her own offspring, don't you know that her emotional nerve endings have been rubbed raw? She has like sandpaper on your face, like somebody using a sander on your face. She slept with so many men under so many putrid, disgusting, back alley, dumpster diving conditions. Can you imagine? Because that's what she's revealing here, is that she has just been slutted out in so many disgusting situations that she has had the femininity ripped out of her. No wonder she can do this to a baby. She can do this to a baby because that's a lifelong hoe. I'll say it, and she's still out in them streets right now. I'll put a stack on it. Because ain't no nigga gonna do nothing for her. She's still out here in the streets, getting in how she live. With her slutty ass sister sitting there next to her, backing that. And it's only now, by the way, I want to go ahead and play the next part here, because it's only now that starts to change. Only now. You heard her sit up here and say, nope, it's true. Yes, I'm disputing the results. Watch the next part.
My denial, is that going to put a wedge between you and I?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. If you can't give me this, no hug, no word of encouragement, no sugar, no joke, nothing can substitute what I deserve and what I've needed and what I've missed.
He just wants the truth.
Now, of everybody here, I want you all to understand something. I want you to understand something, that recently there was a movie that was released called Oppenheimer by Christopher Nolan. It was a story focusing on the life of Robert Oppenheimer. They called him the godfather, the father of the atomic bomb. He actually was not. I mean, that's really a super simplification. The atomic bomb is actually the work of literally dozens of physicists over the course of at least 50 years before we get to World War II. But for dramatic purposes, we're going to put the blame on Oppenheimer, because Oppenheimer was the one who, when he saw the mushroom cloud go up in New Mexico when they set the bomb off, he said, I have become Shiva, God, destroyer of worlds. So he was quoting the old Hindu proverb. And in the movie, you see what happened in his life, but there's an interview that was done with Oppenheimer. You can actually see it on YouTube. There was an interview that was done with him decades later. He was asked, have you had an opportunity to reflect on the creation of the most destructive weapon in the history of man? We're way beyond arrows and bullets at this point. We now have the ability, because of your work, mankind has the ability to annihilate himself now. And Oppenheimer said, we're scientists, not philosophers. So it's strange for me to have to consider this in that way. But yes, we did think it over. I thought it over. And he said, and we understood the ramifications of what we were doing. And then he said this, that when we looked at what was coming next, when we considered the number of people who were dead and dying, how long the war was going on, and how much longer it would go on, when we calculated all of that and considered it, when you took a look at what was happening in Nazi Germany. And then I remember these words from him, when you saw a level of barbarism and inhumanity to man that had no place in the 20th century. Something had to be done. And Oppenheimer's hope was that by building the atomic bomb, we would have a weapon that was so powerful and so terrible that it would end warfare. That we have reached a point where war has gone to its limit, and that from here on in, you're no longer playing war, you're playing extinction. So ultimately the goal of waging war is to win it. But if we create a scenario where you can no longer win war, then this will discourage people from waging it. That was his hope. But it's what he said there when he said that this was that what happened in Nazi Germany and the concentration camps and the millions and millions and millions of people who were dying as a result, that this was something that had no place in the 20th century. This was a level of barbarism that maybe had a place in the 1st century, but not the 20th. And what you see on this screen is the reason that Adolf Hitler and Pol Pot and Joseph Stalin and every other monster that you can name throughout history, this is the real reason for it. That every cleric who came out of Nazi Germany and that experience saw it. Every cleric probably saw it. They heard it. They witnessed what happened, and they said, yeah, Hitler was bad, but he couldn't have gotten as far away with it as he did if the rest of you didn't condone him. You all stood around. You knew what he did. You knew. This old wench on the screen, it's finally when we get to this moment, we've gone all the way from the funeral to finally you get here, where her admitting and conceding she knew the whole time. She's been covering the whole damn time. She's been covering for him she's been covering for this heifer the whole damn time, knowing what the truth was. Folks, y'all today, you know who your damn sister is slutting herself out with. You know if your sister's a hoe. You know if your brother is a damn shooter. You know if he's the gangster who does the shooting. You know if that's him. You know. If your sister is walking around the damn house pregnant, you know who the father of the baby is. You know that nigga she was with. You're not deceived. You know exactly who it is. And you know that your sister has been lying to them. You know if your sister has been lying to her own children. Black women, these are not young women on this damn screen. These are old hoes. And I am just telling the women tonight, if you want to know why it is that you have lost respect, lost honorability, lost protection, lost consideration, the men don't want to produce for you. They're saying, hey, we can go 50-50 at best. They're not willing to extend themselves. It is because most of you are silent about this epidemic of narcissistic, wicked, evil female culture of abuse. You all are sitting there and maintaining the code of silence. And just understand, when you maintain that code, you become complicit. You become co-conspirators. That's what happens if you do that. You become co-conspirators right along with them. Right along with them. In the video earlier, I want to say the auntie was telling Kirk to get his ass out the car. She wanted him to come inside, and she's telling him, like, get his ass out the car. Let me go ahead and play that. I think I got that right. Let me go check and make sure about that.
So I was intentional.
Hi.
Get your ass out.
Did she sign the paper?
I ain't signed shit yet. Come on.
You have to sign the paper.
I will, on the inside.
That's the aunt, the one over there in the blue. That's her. The moment he opens the door, remember, he wanted them to sign the releases so that he could record them. As soon as he opens the door, get your ass out. It's like, okay, did you sign the releases? I ain't signing. Yeah, I wonder how your sister became the block skateboard. I wonder how that happened. I wonder how your sister became the dish rag of the boulevard. I wonder how. And one more thing, I bet you your raggedy old ass was right there getting tag teamed along with her. Oh, I know a couple of old hoes who used to go on some slutty missions together. I can recognize some old hoes used to go on some slutty missions together. Let me tell you something. You ain't never supposed to be hearing your sister getting crashed out in the next damn room. You ain't supposed to be hearing your sister get broke down in the next damn room. These old hoes will be sitting there listening to their damn sisters get broke the hell down in the next room. The walls is bumping. If she ain't the one getting broke down her damn self. Yeah, I said it. But yeah, I just wanted to play that part for you there so you can hear that, yeah, this is a system in place. This is a social system engineered by the females where they have declared war against their own children. They declared war against them and said, it's okay to do this, as opposed to her saying, well, it's decades later. I ain't got a damn thing to hide. I don't have anything to conceal. Do you understand the level of evil? That's what I'm trying to communicate to you. Do you understand the level of evil that you have to exist at in order to do this? This is a level of barbarism and monstrosity that has absolutely no place in humanity, no place in civilized society, and certainly no place in the 21st century, and it is rampant today. Females will sit here, lie to their children, lie to their parents, lie on social media, lie to the world, and then when you confront them with incontrovertible evidence, continue lying. And you expect that there's anybody who honors you after this? And all the females lock arms with each other when they leave my program and go back to holding up the code of silence. That's what they're doing. Holding up the code of silence. Jason, why is that so important? It is so important. You cannot become too familiar, certainly with your mother's sexuality. Hoes online talking about their sex habits and showing their butt cheek swinging and this, that, and the damn other. Your children cannot become too familiar with that because you cannot respect that which you do not fear. And I don't mean fear as in terror. I don't mean fear as in you are afraid for bodily harm. You're supposed to get to a point in your life where your parents, you are so honored of them that your fear is in letting them down. Your fear is in disappointing them. And when you can hear your mama taking the people's elbow down the hall or in the next damn room, at that point, a son can no longer have that separation of identity and respect for his mother. He can no longer have that. He's no longer afraid of you. You've become like him. because you have refused to uphold a mother's position. As the mother, you're supposed to be, no. I'm up here, you're down here. And that's the way it needs to remain. But that means that there is an obligation on your part to maintain that. But if we're going to be honest, we got a bunch of block sluts out here who gave birth, calling themselves mothers, and you're far from it. And everyone sees what you are, but go ahead and lie to the world. The truth always eventually comes out, and now you'll lose everything. But I just wanted you to know the co-conspirators, not just the ones here, but also on Jada Pinkett's page, still over there covering for her, still over there supporting her, still pretending that there's something over there, that she's doing something that's worthy of being honored, when you know that's not the truth. You know it isn't. I wanted you to see that if he wants to know how is it that the baby could have just fell through the cracks? The baby just got dropped and don't nobody know a damn thing. Ain't nobody said nothing. Brother, it's a conspiracy of silence among them hoes in that neighborhood. What I'm saying is that the females today, those of you listening to me henceforth and forever, it is your obligation to change this. Femininity is an honorable concept, has been lost and cast aside. And it's your obligation to rediscover it. In the chat room, by the way, I don't think I'd like to see less joking if we could. I just don't want folks to get distracted. I'm not going to have the mods time anybody out, but I would like for you all to take it a bit more seriously. I understand sometimes Jason has a wild take. I get it. But for the sake of folks here, give the subject the efficacy that and the gravity that it requires. Because we're talking about life and death now. I said the children don't listen to Jada. There's no reason for her to do a podcast or even show her face, because children won't listen to her. Men won't listen to her. Women won't listen to her. Children won't listen to her because they see that she lacks the purity that a mother needs and that they aspire to have, as well as the fact that she puts herself ahead of her family, an unforgivable sin for a mother. I'd like to tell you Jada Pinkett is rare. I'd like to tell you that female narcissism is on the decline and female purity is making a comeback. But that would be a lie. The sad truth is Jada Pinkett is the norm today. Female narcissism, vulgarity, and lack of integrity are at an all-time high. We're no longer led by wise females. We're instead inundated by unreformed hoes and their contaminated offspring who simply repeat the pathetic cycle of phoniness and failure of their mothers and grandmothers. Rather than be humble examples of someone people can admire, they are mentally and emotionally out of control sideshows of female depravity. I'm not optimistic, but I am skeptically hopeful that true femininity will win out, that being an honorable and decent woman will come back into fashion. It's not just a cultural practice, it's a biological feminine imperative. Having strong sons means having a mother who can be admired for what she actually is, not the phony thing that she pretends to be. Being a good woman means nurturing his masculinity so that he becomes stronger, not attacking him so you can feel better about your inadequacies. Lastly, if a woman really wants to convince people, and I'm speaking about women in society in general today, if women really want to convince people that she's in touch with her emotions and feminine side, she can start by giving an honest, heartfelt apology to all the men that she's hurt, starting with her own son, many of whom are simply scarred for life and will never be the men they could have been, like Jaden or like Kirk Franklin. Kirk Franklin is telling you, I'll never be the man that I could have been because this narcissistic, demonic, callous, selfish whore was willing to sacrifice her own child. That's the reason why. These women destroy their sons and then come out here complaining about the quality of men. Never mind the fact. Folks, let's be very, very clear about something here. The die is cast as far as the male character about the time we're 8 or 10 years old. The hard coding of our character is pretty much in place. If you got a sissified ass mama's boy who whines, if he's doing that by 10 years old, that's pretty much what you're going to be stuck with. So you're just whistling past the graveyard and trying to absolve yourself of your own guilt. If you tell yourself, well, don't worry, he'll get it together in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Please. Same thing for the females. If you a slut, you didn't become a slut when you were 18 years old. That was etched in you 10, 12, 11. Hearing your mama get slap-boxed down the damn hall. Hearing your mama use gutter vulgar language. Seeing your mama with niggas in and out the damn house. When you were 8, 9, 10 years old, that formed the feminine being that you are and how you respond to sex from the feminine. Kirk Franklin was just showing the world that this is just how far that this worthless wretch of a woman would go to destroy her own son, who did nothing to her except commit the apparent unforgivable sin of being born. He's telling you, I'll never be the man I could have been. I'm walking around as half a person. She's okay because she's still out here roaming the streets looking to get somebody to take care of her. She's trying to grab somebody to take care of her. And that's just evil. What I said is that when you spot toxic femininity, don't ignore it or celebrate it. Expose it and resist it. As for Will, he has now become Jaime Lannister. For those of you who watch Game of Thrones, a man so hopelessly emotionally invested in a toxic female imposter that he can no longer even help himself nor his own children. He's now just a cautionary tale for all men of what not to do and who not to become. Will Smith, once upon a time, was one of the most respected men in Hollywood. He was respected not as an actor, but as a man. And Will Smith lost it all. Gone, destroyed in a single night because he was hopelessly invested in a woman who could not stand him and can't stand him now. And let's be clear, Jada Pinkett don't love Tupac. Jada Pinkett loves being able to attach herself to the image of Tupac. But Jada Pinkett does not love Tupac Shakur. She loves the attention that she thinks using his name can bring to her. That's what she loves, because she doesn't have any accomplishments of her own outside of the men who done laid on top of her. She hasn't got any accomplishments of her own outside of that. And she's angry about it. She's angry and resentful because she's one of the smart hoes too. And she's been waiting for that adoration she was going to get. These women like her take a look at Beyonce and they say, that's supposed to be me. I'm supposed to get that. Y'all are supposed to be looking up to me. You're supposed to be showing me that level of respect. You're supposed to be putting me on that pedestal. And what happened was she messed around and got with a fella who emotionally she considers herself to be superior to him, but socially he's head and shoulders above her, and it eats her alive and she can't stand it. Because she tells herself that if Tupac were still alive, he'd be this thuggin' dude and she would be his smart she would be his smart right-hand man, right-hand woman. And that she could emotionally dominate Tupac. But that Tupac emotionally dominates others. So if Tupac emotionally dominates others and I emotionally dominate him, and I'm not saying she ever could have done it, I'm saying that's what she's saying in her head. Well, if Tupac emotionally dominates other men and I can emotionally dominate him, then I'm dominant over all these men. But the problem with Will is that Will is not emotionally dominant over other men. Will submits to Jada. And that is why ultimately she can never respect him. Fellas, at the end of the day, you don't want a woman's love. Love means any damn thing. You want her respect. Will is the man that Jada Pinkett respects, and I put that in quotations. Will Smith is the man that she respects. Will Smith is the man she loves. Tupac Shakur is the one she respects. Will Smith is the man that Jada Pinkett loves. Tupac is the one that she respects. What do y'all think that Tupac would do if Jada was sitting in his damn house playing videos of her diddy bopping to I Get Around while she was dancing with Will Smith in middle school and high school? If Pac was still alive today, what the hell do you think he would say? What the hell do you think he would do? If Jada was sitting up in his house, he surpassed Will Smith in every conceivable metric. And Jada is still in his house playing videos of Will Smith, putting them up on her Instagram, talking about him all the damn time, got her kids writing letters to Will Smith. What the hell do you think Pac would do if he was still alive today? You know that ain't flying at all. And that's the man that she still pines for. Even though we never confirmed it, even though we were never sure, but she knows. She knows. That's the reason. I've done tonight's program here because I want the females to start looking at yourselves. I want the women to start being honest with themselves. Ladies, can you be honest with yourselves? How many of you are Deborah Franklin, or whatever her name is, because it really doesn't matter? How many of you are her? Can you look in the mirror and have a heart-to-heart with yourself right now and say to yourselves, how many of you can look in that mirror and recognize, you know what? Jason's describing me, because that's me. I've done that. I've destroyed children. I've destroyed young men. Hell, I've destroyed grown men. I tried to destroy others. How many of you can be honest and look in the mirror and say, Jason, I'm ashamed of myself. That's me. I am the narcissistic, wicked female you're talking about. How many? Because I want to put this back on this Rick dude who now is willing to claim his son. Decades later, he's now willing to claim his son. Let's be very, very honest about the way y'all get down today as women. As women today, the way y'all get down. Let's just tell the truth. Let's tell the truth about your behavior. Can you all be honest? Can you all be honest and admit to the single mothers sitting here today that dude Rick, Kirk Franklin's biological father, let's be very, very clear. This man said that he only saw his mother 2 or 3 times a damn year. He didn't see his father at all. But how much y'all want to bet that wasn't preventing his mama from still sleeping with the dad? How many females are sitting in my damn chat room tonight? You done had babies by a man who ain't seeing his kids and you still sleeping with him. How many of you are willing to sit up here and admit that damn part? Ain't nobody did that now, huh? Okay, all right. Nobody's done it now. Yeah, them dudes was just these dudes we see who still get to break down their baby mamas every damn year. Yeah, ain't nobody doing it now. No one's doing it today. Oh, they're all gone. Oh, you're all just pretty little saints. The moment he stopped doing that, you left him alone. Because you could never sit there and look at your kids and say, your daddy don't take care of you, but I'm going over to his house. Bye. Okay, there's nobody. Okay, fine. All right. This nigga was able to skate and disappear for damn decades. And when I'm telling you all that everybody is in on it, I mean everybody. Okay, ain't nobody doing it though. Okay, so Jason, my chat room is only filled with honorable single moms. Okay, all right. Well, all the honorable ones are here. Don't you all see how damn lucky I feel? Can't you see how seriously I take this? Yeah, I've got nothing but honorable single moms in my chat room. Wow, I must be the luckiest damn nigga with a microphone. Yeah, I've got nothing but stand-up single moms on my page. Yep. Lucky me. Yeah, can't you see how seriously I take it? Just in case anybody thinks that I'm a fool, by the way, you can hear in my voice just how seriously I take what I'm seeing. Like Trap Queen talking about she ain't got no kids. Baby, you protesting heavy. Allegedly, you got no kids. I understand that, but nobody asked you. But okay, look at me. I ain't got no kids. There's another one. I ain't got no kids. Okay, just understand you soft snitching. When you got to do that, you soft snitching. Just thought I'd let you know. Just thought I'd put it out there, by the way. You kind of soft snitching. Wait a minute. I'm feeling guilty. Do you have something you need to get off your chest? Do you have something you need to get off your chest? Do you have something that the men you know might want to find out about? Okay, somebody said that they've done that before. I'm like, okay, that means baby daddy got to double dip and not take care of the kids. All right, well, thank you for being honest. Thank you for being honest. Tonight's program is intended to address that. You cannot have strong men of integrity raised by weak, degenerate females completely lacking integrity. You cannot tell men to put their all on the line for women. When the women around them, not just their mothers, but they can go online, they go at their job, the women around them have declared war against the men, and that the chief weapon that they use is lying. The chief weapon that they use is looking the men square in the face and lying. How many people, how many black males are dead today because some female somewhere told a lie? How many black males today are in prison, many for the rest of their lives, because some female told a lie? How many fellas got themselves killed because they were trying to impress or thrill or get the respect of, or they just followed the directions of some female who was lying? And you got yourself killed, and she's literally stepping over the bodies and going on completely heartless. This is something I want y'all to understand. This is something I want you to understand. That you are destroying your own children. And let me be very, very clear. There isn't any person anywhere who thinks a damn thing of a mother who would destroy her children and then thinks that she gonna skate and go around and declare to the world that everything is all right. And then when you show incontrovertible proof and evidence that she's lying, she stands by it anyway. What I'm saying is that this generation needs to declare war on that lying. To the females listening, if you want the respect of the men universally now, if you want to turn the tide, if you want to change that back, then the road to redemption starts by the females adopting a code of conduct. That as females, there is a definition, as black women, that there is a definition of what it means to be on code and what it means to be off code. The women have to take the lead at that amongst each other. The women have to call each other out on that amongst each other. You all have to have a group huddle. I can't even say every week. You need to have it every damn day. That's just how bad the situation is every damn day. And understand something. The conversation needs to sound like what you're hearing here, but it can't be on no pimp-tastic stuff. When you hear another female repeating our talking points, but then she false flagging, you supposed to be right there to say, by the way, before you get too high and mighty, hold on a second now. I saw a damn femur bone. You got some skeletons in the closet, and I saw a femur bone fall out a minute ago. No more false flagging. When I say have an honest and true moment of contrition, that you are going to let that go and the chips will fall where they may. Let the chips fall where they may. That's the point I want you to get to as women, because that's the only path to redemption you're going to have. That's the only way you all are going to get there. You're not going to shame the men into ignoring this culture of female narcissism and abuse. That's what we've gotten into. Everything is about shaming the men and bullying the men into accepting this depraved, demonic state of being. That was the only way you're going to get out of this. This idea that you all are going to sit up here and we just going to slut it out and we're going to do whatever, and we will never have to feel shame or guilt about it. That's a problem. People, let me explain to you something here. I know tonight I've been sounding real religious. I've been sounding real religious about it, and I get that. I understand that. But in the words of our immortal ancestor, Dr. John Henry Clark, religion has a place. It exists for a reason. Man needs an immutable set of laws to understand. He needs that. He needs that. In the Bible, as you know, it literally, when you talk about repentance, do you all know the Bible says to repent? For in order for you to have salvation, you're going to have to repent of your sins. But do you know what that word actually means? Well, in the dictionary, they tell you that it means to feel remorse, be sorry, to apologize. But that's not what the biblical definition of repentance is. The biblical definition, the word repent literally means to turn away, to turn in a different direction. Do not keep walking in the direction you're in. Repenting literally means turn away. Just like if I say repent left at the next light. Don't go straight. You need to repent to the left. That's literally what repentance means. Turn away. Literally, physically, turn away. Turn your back on your sinful ways. In other words, you're going to have to become a new person. You can't be half honest and half con man. You can't be half honorable and half despicable and worthless. You got to be all in. You got to be all in. I'll be one of the first people to tell you here. I'm not going to say I've lived a sheltered life necessarily, but a lot of y'all have had to see and face some things that I didn't, and I've never looked down on you as a result. I've always tried to keep the perspective that there, but for the grace of God, go I. I've always tried to keep that in mind. So when I hear about those of you who've been on drugs, who've been in the criminal behavior, who've been to prison, I don't ask if you've been to prison because I'm mocking you. When something is said erroneously, I'm trying to point out where the flaw comes in, but not because I'm mocking you. And I'm not mocking the females either, but let's be very, very clear. There is no place in civilized society of the 21st century for a narcissistic, evil female. There is no place for a despicable, lying, deceitful woman. There's no place for you. And to sit in front of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions, tens of millions of people and lie through your teeth, you are doing grievous harm to every other woman out there. You're doing grievous harm because you're making it easy for men to say they're all like that. And I'm saying that to the women who maintain the code of silence. Every woman who maintains the code of silence, just understand you've made it easy for the men to say it's easy, forget about them, and bad things happen. Bad things happen. All this damn talking about neck jerking and what ain't gonna be. Folks, let's be very, very clear. If you are a female walking the planet Earth, you do so at the leisure of the men. Any man, anywhere, any place, any time can walk up to you and turn your life upside down, and there will not be a damn thing you can do to stop him. Even if you have a gun, it's unlikely that he will allow himself to get into a situation where you will be able to stop him with it. Not unless he is completely reckless. And do not get me wrong. all my girlfriends, most of my female family members, particularly the young ones, Uncle Jason has taken them to go learn how to shoot. I want them to have something. I don't want them to have absolutely nothing, but I'm under no illusions. Usually it's going to be somebody you know who going to make a move on you. And I'm not talking about lovers necessarily. Somebody who's been watching you, somebody who's been tracking you, somebody who's been keeping up with you. It's usually going to be somebody who knows your moves, knows your routine, and they're close enough that you won't be able to get to a weapon. Especially if he knows you the kind of broad who gonna bust on him. If a fella knows you the type of broad gonna bust, he's not gonna let you get close enough to do. He's not gonna let you get far enough away to do that. When he makes his move, he's gonna close that gap quick. If he knows you the kind of broad, you got that thing on you, and you gonna let it down, please. He is not gonna let you get far away from him. He's gonna close that distance quickly. For the majority of you, you won't ever get the chance to react. Especially if he knows what you're capable of, you won't get that chance. Which means that the best opportunity you have is if you got to defend yourself, sure, but if you got somebody else with you, if you've got a man with you, now that's going to that's the deterrent. If you want to know what makes an assailant think twice, it's not the idea that you got a weapon, it's the idea that there's a man with you, because the man is the weapon. Whether he looks simple or whether he looks dangerous, the man is the weapon. And men got to think twice. Yeah, he might want to run up on you broad, but he's like, wait a minute, she might do something. He's gonna do something. Men understand that. Men understand that we avoid physical confrontations with other men because the possibility of death skyrockets. So if you go in, you got to go all the way in. You can't do it halfway. If you're going to go in, you got to be ready to go all out, because once this gets started, this is going to escalate very quickly. Very, very quickly. And you just going to be along for the ride. This is going to go real fast. I'm doing tonight's program not because I want you to be dejected, but because we need to have a moment of truth in this generation. The previous generations, we're going to have to just admit and accept there was a lot of low-down niggas in their generation, and they really did not care about the children. We're going to have to accept that reality because the math and the numbers are undeniable. There are entirely too many of you who have the exact same story as Kirk Franklin for this to be some anomaly. There are entirely too many of you. And I'm telling you, I am sorry for what's occurred to you. It is not right. It's a monstrous, diabolical injustice. And I don't know if I can say on YouTube what I would do to rectify such a thing. I don't know if YouTube would let me get away with saying that. So I'm just going to keep that to myself for now. But I think you all, when I mention the Old Testament and you realize I ain't playing, we'll just leave it there. But what I am telling you is that I want you to control what you can. Don't let the fact that you might have been born to monsters and raised by one, don't let that turn you into one. I do not know what it was in this life. I don't know what it was that occurred that turned Kirk Franklin's mother into the hideous thing that she's become. I don't know what it was. But what I do know is it's inexcusable and unforgivable. And you don't have to follow in her footsteps. You don't have to do that. You can be better. You can be someone that your children can look in the eye and be proud of. You can do that without worrying about what it is. Understand, her name is useless now. Her name is nothing in the streets. Her name is disgusting. Even folk who never knew her, now they know who she is. As a female, just understand something. That's what you have to have, because that is what protects the women. Virtue and honorability are what protect the women. Jason, what do you mean? Females cannot physically protect themselves the way that men do. So how do you prevent men from physically violating you if you are unable to physically stop them? What that means is there must be something within him that stops itself. That there's something about you that he recognizes and that he sees in every woman. This is why the mother has to be sacrosanct, because the mother's honorability is what protects every other woman in the society. Because when he sees the female, he sees a similar being to his mother, and he honors and respects you as he has honored and respected his mother. Because there's something that has been drilled in him and ingrained into him since he could walk, since he could move, that this is how you respond in the feminine presence. Not because you're a simp, not because you're kowtowing, not because you're saving some worthless harlot, not because you're an idiot, but because you are disciplined. You see the value in it. And that you understand that if we don't protect her, then she, by definition, cannot continue being a protector of our virtues. The men protect the women, and the women protect our virtues. Why? Because one of the virtues in the world is principle. We shouldn't allow principle to be distorted and mutated and turned into an ugly thing. But people, there's something to be said for principle. Principle is something that you're willing to die for. But understand, being willing to die doesn't mean I'm willing to die because I can't prevent it. It means I'm willing to die even if I'm helpless. If I had the opportunity to abandon my principles and live, or maintain my principles and die, then I'm going to maintain my principles. That's what it means to be the feminine being. That is why the greatest movies that you can make about female strength are not the movies where you're showing some female as some kick-ass warrior doing supernatural moves that you know damn well they can't do. A 105-pound woman can't do a damn thing to a 200-pound man except fetch his slippers and hope he doesn't get upset. So what does that 105-pound female do if she finds herself in a situation where this man is physically threatening her to do his bidding or else? What that woman says is, I will not or cannot fight you, but I will also not bend to you. Well, I'm going to punch you. I'm going to kick you. I'm going to beat you. I'm going to knock you down. You can do all that, but if you think that's going to break me, it won't. You can break my arms. You can break my legs. You can break my skull. You will not break my spirit. I am not going to bend to you. And it is in that moment that we as the men recognize the feminine being. that if this fella goes forward with what he just said he's going to do, and he's beaten this woman and she's just standing there taking it, that just my words I'm saying right now are igniting something in every male listening to me right now. Every male in here thinking about the idea of some fella slapping this chick and she's just standing there taking it. If he knocks her down, she's standing back up. Every single male listening to me right now, there's something stirring in his belly. There's something stirring in his gut that tells him, now let me find the right object to break this nigga in half with. I don't know who he is, but I know where he's going. There is something in your blood. There's something, dare I say, in your spirit. I ain't even gotta tell you what it is. You already know. It's like, nigga, it's go time. I don't know how this started, but I know how it's ending. That you understand and you recognize what that is. She's not supposed to be able to knock this dude out. And you are not doing this because he is threatening your woman. You're doing this because you recognize that he is threatening womanhood, and you see the value of it because you have lived with the benefits of what it has contributed to the society and to yourself, and it must be protected. That we cannot have a society that is worth living in, a world that's worth living in, with a bunch of wretched, degenerate, dishonorable females. We have to have it. It's essential. And when that sacred femininity is under attack, just because you got ovaries does not mean you're the sacred feminine. Get over your slutty self. But when you see that the feminine being is being attacked, your biology, your reptilian brain, you understand what to do immediately. You understand that she is exhibiting her feminine being. That simply by standing, just by her standing there, it's making it crystal clear, it's crystallized for you exactly who you are as a man. And it's now crystallized for you exactly who that fella over there is. That is a female teaching you something. That's a female showing you something and teaching you something. That's what it means for a woman to nurture your masculinity, not challenging it. Every time a female says she can take care of herself, that's a challenge to our masculinity, because men understand in certain situations you might be able to, but other than that, it's science fiction. And as men, we understand this. And so do you. I do not want a world where our daughters are walking around talking nonsense, knowing that it's not true, living with the helplessness of what the situation a bunch of old hoes put them in. Let's be very clear to everyone here tonight. The problem with having old hoes around, and this is the brutal truth of it, which makes it so hard to punish. Don't you understand that old hoes don't care if they die? I want to get down to the facts with you here for a moment. Don't you understand? Old hoes don't care if they die. They don't care. You take a look in their faces. That's why I'm telling you, she died a long damn time ago. We've been waiting on the funeral for 50 years. Whores died a long time ago. They have no integrity. They have no scruples. They have no principles because they've been dead. They've been the walking dead for decades. You can't have man after man after man after man after man after man lay on top of you, bend you over, rip you naked, slap you in the face, sit up here and leave you for roadkill, get you pregnant with a bunch of kids and leave you alone. You can't have that happen over and over and over again without it killing you as a woman. You might still be breathing, but that's all you're doing. You're dead. You're dead. Every day you get up, it's worthless. It's useless. There isn't anyone who actually admires you because they all see you for the broken, diseased thing that you are, and you refuse to change. And eventually you get so old that there's nobody who wants to hear it anymore. And all the people that you should have made amends with and reconciled with, they're all gone. Now you're just a pathetic old woman spinning lies to people who don't know you, and they don't believe you either. Or trying to keep up the lies that you told the few people left who do know you. But folks, old hoes don't care if they live or die. They know you hate them. They know you don't respect them. They know that they blew it. They know nobody's coming. They'll lie as long as they can, but in their hearts they know, no, I'm just walking around. I'm just broken and damaged, but I'm just walking around. I died a long time ago. Kirk Franklin's mama died in that alley where she was turning tricks. She died behind the bleachers at that high school. She died behind that dance club. She died behind the dumpster at the bar. She died in the backseat of that Impala for the 8th, 12th, or 15th time. She's had so many men lay on top of her that she literally doesn't remember. She can't remember how many and certainly doesn't remember who. She can tell you about the top 5 or 6. Everybody else after that is kind of a blur. And you're trying to come to her talking about decency and honesty and honorability. And she died decades ago. She's been gone now for decades. Gone. Gone. I also want to deal with another issue here. I want to deal with another issue among the men. Fellas, I know that men like hoes. I know that men like hoes, but there's a different issue we have to deal with here. Fellas, a lot of you are such scum-sucking losers that you keep crawling into bed with the little throwed-off chick. I've been talking about this now for over a decade. This is a fallacy that males fall for. Y'all slither into bed with the little cute throwed-off chick. And by cute, I don't mean pretty. I'm talking about your standard of, well, she'll do in a pinch. But fellas, there's a bunch of you that because of your lack of confidence, your lack of masculinity, your lack of integrity or fortitude, your lack of competitiveness, your whole damn life, your entire sexual existence has been a parade of grabbing produce from the low-hanging fruit area. Too many males out here, because you're mama's boys or you're worthless or you're otherwise unaccomplished and you're not really resourceful, your maturity is never kicked in, you sitting up here daily shopping in the low-hanging fruit produce section. You go grab the little chick who throws it to everybody. You go grab the little cute throwed off chick. You can see she's got problems. You can see she's got issues. You can see she 5150. You can see she's a degenerate liar. You can see she sleep with anything. You can see that she's thrown off, and yet there you are. You can see she's wild-eyed. You can see there are problems, and you're like, well, that'll just make it that much easier. There are a bunch of dudes right now that you getting yourself caught up in that spider web because that chick that you telling yourself, this'll be easy pickings. So you grab the little cute throwed off chick. And here's the problem with that. Fellas, the longer that you sleep, the longer you stay in bed with a low quality female, the lower it drags you. As a man, the longer that you remain uncompetitive, the worse your options in females will become, and each successive throwed off chick gets worse and worse and worse. The quality of them gets worse and worse. But guess what? Your quality is getting worse and worse too. This is why men cannot keep low quality females close to them. If you got a low quality chick, she got to be somebody you visit every once in a while when nothing else is picking up the phone. If she becomes a regular part of your diet, then that's who you become. Just like consuming low quality food will ruin your health, if you're constantly consuming low quality females, it ruins you. Because you begin becoming like her. She doesn't achieve very much. She doesn't aspire to very much. If you don't aspire to more, I would like to tell you that she's the best you can do, but it'll probably be that she's the best you ever had, because every successive female will get worse. Because you haven't learned or made it a habit to be able to appeal to something of higher caliber. The only females that you're going to actually be able to relate to after a while will be the low-hanging fruit. It'll be the cast-offs. It'll be the run-through. And you like, well, this one's cute. Meanwhile, she's got a body count out of this damn world. Folks, the number of nerdy hoes out there today is at astronomical levels. And I used to be a guy who projected that. Well, I wear glasses, so all the little nerdy chicks, they're like me. Nigga, no. Nigga, no. These chicks today with the glasses, please. They just run through bookworms today. That's literally what we got. We got a bunch of chicks with glasses and degrees and articulate and slutty and thrown off as a mug. And looking for you to be the next damn sucker, because eventually she gonna have to get somebody that she can lock down. Eventually she gonna have to do that. And she's gonna be looking for an idiot who's going to get her pregnant, or worse, get her married. Okay, now you get to be her damn cat toy. She gets to bat you around now. And you are going to pay for the sins of the 50, 60, 80, 100, 200 dudes she slept with before she got to you. Because that's the way that female nature in this society works today. Women don't sit up here and stop their bad behavior. They continue doing it because they feel they have the entitlement to it. And then she finally goes to look for somebody who's different, quote, different, but she usually grabs a little recessive beta dude who's willing to overlook all these red flags. And then she's not grateful to you. She's not grateful to you. She's like, yeah, nigga, you supposed to come do this for me. Steve Harvey told me a man's supposed to want a woman with some kids. You supposed to do this for me. And now she's boldly sticking you with the bill that everybody else refused. She tried to stick the previous 50, 60, 80 boyfriends. They said, hell no, heifer. She tried to stick the baby daddies with the bill. They was like, Wange, please, I get paid under the table, off the books. And I don't want to go outside the country, so don't need a passport. Then she gets your little super simp ass. And next thing you know, okay, here's the bill. Yeah, all them dudes and everything they didn't do, yeah, I'm presenting you with the bill. You're better than all of them, aren't you? Well, here's the bill. And how many men think that that's a fair deal? That she rides the run-through rodeo in her 20s and 30s, racks up the bastard babies, bubbling STDs, and and psychoses, and then comes to you 20 damn years later with her stretch marks and saggy skin and mama issues and baggage and a bunch of disrespectful kids and tells you, okay, I'm ready. How many fellas think that's a fair deal? If you think that's a fair deal, give me the thumbs up emoji. If you think that's a raw deal, give me the prohibited emoji, the circle with the line through it. Fellas, if you think that's a fair deal, that she gets on the run-through rodeo in her 20s and 30s, and then she comes to you in her 40s and 50s, it's like, okay, I'm ready for somebody to settle down with me. And you feel, and she's like, I'm presenting you with the bill. Everything they didn't do. I need you to hop to it, kick it in. I need you to kick in the gear. How many fellas think that's a fair deal? Give me the thumbs up emoji. How many think it's a raw deal? Give me the prohibited emoji. Fellas, the little cute throwed off chick, the little spacey chick with the comic book collection, the little tomboy with the glasses. Dude, that's warning flags all over the damn place. These are warning flags all over the damn place. The little cute throwed off chicks eventually get tired of being run through, and now they become just like all the other hoes. Because you got to understand, she's mad at you, nigga. See, ladies, I got to explain it to the guys because the guys don't get it because they don't have ovaries and they've never been a 25-year-old female who was stupid and dumb and got pregnant by some no-goodnik, and now she's trying to reform herself 2 or 3 decades later. The guys don't understand this, but fellas, let me explain this to you. Here's the way the females see it. If she was in her 20s, she was at the top of her damn game. Dudes was throwing money, throwing benefits, and she was just, quote, having fun. Now, she doesn't come back today. See, when she tells her story, she's going to tell you about the bad men. What she won't say are the next words I'm about to tell you. 4 words, and I liked it. If you all sit up here with these hoes who've been run through and carrying 5 and 6 bastard kids and whatnot, just understand when she starts telling you about all the bad men that in her life that she's been with, just tell her, by the way, you left out 4 words and you liked it. Because you were with him. We keep saying you chose them, but we need to understand that's not where it ends. She liked that. The 2 of them were 2 of a kind. She liked it. It's only when he left her stuck with the bill that all of a sudden she didn't like it. But it wasn't because she didn't want to kick it with that life. So, fellas, you got to understand, when a broad been left with a messed up sexual resume, she's been stuck with a bunch of damn kids in her 20s. Don't you know that her life just got derailed, man? Everything is 5 times harder. Her freedoms have been left behind. That's why these hoes try to abandon their kids as quickly as they can. That's it. She done missed out. She spent her youthful years playing with a bunch of damn kids and getting messed over and run through by her sexual playmates that she liked playing with until the dudes moved on. She's not happy about that. She's like, you niggas cost me my 20s. Well, the fellas are like, well, from our perspective, you cost yourself your 20s. Well, she's not going to take responsibility for that. She's not going to, y'all are never going to see these hoes say the words I just said. When they tell their version of the story, it's going to leave it out. You're not going to hear these women say the version I just said and say, by the way, I liked it. I liked it when we did that. I liked getting slutted out till I didn't. I liked him sitting on the couch with his Xbox until I didn't. He was safe. I liked it until I didn't. She needs to sit there and tell the damn truth. Yeah, it was bad and I liked it. I liked it until the day I didn't. But when I was there, I loved it. I liked it. Why do you think I stayed as long as I did? I stayed for years. Yeah, I liked it. Till I didn't. Yeah, they like being the jump off because they think that's power. See, they get used to the idea that I wiggle these butt cheeks and niggas' brains turn off, so he's submitting to me. At least that's what she thinks. I've got sexual power. The only problem is she takes a look in the benefits column and doesn't see anything and says, oh, hell, where's the sex power? So, fellas, just understand, if you're dealing with a chick who's been run through, run by, and run over, by the time she gets to you in her 30s or 40s or, God forbid, her 50s, nigga, she's carrying a chip on her shoulder large enough to climb with mountain gear. She is angry. She is bitter. And now she's looking for someone to take this out on. And as far as she's concerned, all men are no good. As far as she's concerned, I've slept with enough of you, literally, to know that none of you are any good. So if I do get with you, here's the rules of the game. I got to get you before you get me. I got to get you before you get me. So fellas, when you're dealing with the little cute throwed off chick, she's in her 20s, late 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. Nigga, you see she's throwed off. Bruh, she's carrying baggage. And she's carrying a grudge. She's carrying it and she plans on sticking you with the bill. She's angry because she missed all her good damn years. She didn't get to live it the way she wanted to. Nobody wants to do that. They want to look back on their 20s and see a lifetime of fun. All she sees is a lifetime of a bunch of damn kids. She never had the man, and she had to live that solo. She's looking back on decades of her life. Them good years are gone. The good years are over. Her body ain't gonna snap back. And she's looking for you to get her right. She's looking for you to sacrifice and give up what you got so she can be right. She doesn't give a damn that you weren't responsible. She's looking for a new victim. You know why? Because she says, well, you niggas been victimizing me for 20, 30 years. Now one of y'all got to take a L. If I had to give up my 20s and my 30s, so what if I liked being the local super slut? You niggas didn't have to stop doing what you was doing. You got me pregnant. I thought it was going to hurt you and I kept the baby. You never came back. So I've been babysitting for 22 damn years. Mad as a son of a gun. You think she's all right with that? Hell no. Especially when she sees her daughter. Oh, now we get to the chicks in my chat room now. Now y'all show up. Yo mama had to give up her 20s and her 30s. Now she sees your ass. You are the young, fresh version. She sees you at 18 and all she can think about is the wealth of opportunities in front of you. That you gonna get a real man, a masculine man, an alpha male, somebody who's gonna get out there and work horse and produce, and he's gonna be devoted to you from day one. You ain't gonna have to get some bum, some jerk, some guy who doesn't produce, somebody's leftovers, somebody's drug addict, somebody's beach bum. You ain't gonna have to get that. You get the pick of the litter. Your mama gets a piece of litter. You get the pick of the litter. And guess what? She's mad at you too. Because every time she looks at you, she sees the better decisions that she could have made, and she will never get to a second chance. She'll never get another opportunity. And even if she did get to live it over, she just screwed it all up again. That's the great irony of it. She looks at you and it's like, why do you get that? It's not fair. You're the 18-year-old version of me. It's not fair. You get to make the right decisions. I had to carry you for 18, 20 years, and now you get to make the right decisions. What about me? What about me? That's what it means to be a narcissist. That's what it means to be evil. A humble individual accepts that there are eras and epochs. Look it up. A humble person accepts that there are seasons in your life, and that as much as we would like to hold on to them forever, you can't. We also accept that there are some mistakes that if you make those mistakes, you will not be allowed to recover from them. So what you've got to do is make peace with them so that they don't dog you for the rest of your days, or worse, dog your children. That's what it means to be an adult. That's the opposite of being a narcissist. A narcissist thinks they can hold on to it forever. Take a look at the way I look. There's nothing more sad than seeing a female, middle-aged and older, trying to trade on her looks. Baby, the train done left the station. There's no such animal as a 40-year-old dime. Get over it, damn it.
And deal with it, nigga.
There is no such animal as a 40-year-old dime. Truth be told, it's arguable if there's such an animal as a 30-year-old dime, but let's just keep it true. There's no such creature as a 40-year-old who's a dime, except to a fella out there who ain't never got his life together. But then again, he's been sleeping with low-hanging fruit his whole damn life. So, of course, he thinks anything that'll get into bed with him is a dime. He don't turn down nothing but his collar. Just like there's no such animal as a 40-year-old athletic recruit. All these niggas, a 40-year-old waiting for his record deal. Niggas in their 40s waiting for somebody, waiting to get signed. And the women look at them like, nigga, this is a young man's game. Rap is a young man's game. The music business, that's a young man's game. This nigga 48 years old talking about getting his record deal. Okay, you have no problem telling the men that, but when I say there's no such creature as a 40-year-old dime, oh hell, now you're offended. Well, it's true. The only person you're deceiving is yourself. You're not fooling the men. It's true. There's no such animal. It's true. Nobody's scouting for a 40-year-old to draft to the NFL. Ain't nobody scouting for that. And fellas, just understand the little cute throwed off chick. You're sitting there telling yourself, well, don't worry, she ain't bad. She'll do in a pinch. I just want you to understand there's a bunch of them out here. She might have been cute for you, but you knew she was throwed off. Man, you need to be careful and don't do anything that will permanently bind her to you. Don't do anything that will permanently bind her. As a matter of fact, I advise you not to even give her any time. Raise your damn standards so that you ain't sexually dumpster diving all the damn time. Have some standards. Be that fella who's got options in women so that he can actually have some real choices, not just leftovers. Be that fella who's not afraid to tell a woman about herself. And I'm talking about everybody, not that you pick and choose. Be that guy who's going to do that. Be that guy who's willing to do that. Be that fella who's got integrity. Because a man with integrity isn't going to tolerate a woman who doesn't have it. A man who's not full of lies and deceits isn't going to tolerate a woman in his presence who does that. A man who has something to lose isn't going to collect women who have nothing to lose. And a man with something to lose, a man with integrity, a man with principles, understands that he's got a mission and a purpose in this world. And he is not going to simply dump off. If you got a man who is trying to build a kingdom, that man is not going to just let any old heifer out there carry his offspring. He's looking to raise warrior princes and warrior princesses to take the throne after him. He's not looking to raise whores and harlots and deadbeats and drunks. So you see, a man who's accomplished and principled, he's going to be decisive about the woman he has with him. He's going to make choices about that woman. She's going to have to qualify. And he'll have it no other way. But she got to qualify to get with him. Because he values his legacy. But let me explain what that means also. A man has a responsibility to protect the purity of his bloodline. And by purity, I don't mean Game of Thrones, keeping it in the family. I mean that he understands that my job is to only allow honorable women into the bloodline. So let me tell you something here. I was raised in Shreveport, Louisiana. Port City all damn day. Often imitated, never duplicated. Let me tell you about the old women from there. When you have a grandmother that you respect, let me tell you how we get down. When you got a grandmother that you respect, you can't just bring any old body to them. She raised you as a child and she told you don't bring just any old thing up in my house. I remember that. I remember being told that by the old women in my family. Don't you bring just any old thing up in my house. You gonna get with a young lady? They didn't say young female, they said young lady. You go to the young lady, she better be upstanding. She better be able to use your comb. But don't you just bring any old thing up in my house. And if your grandmamas were like mine, man, let me tell you, if she didn't like what you was saying, or you bring your friends, she don't like what y'all doing, she's just sitting there looking at y'all like aliens. She's looking like, who the hell you think y'all is? She ain't said nothing, but she ain't mincing words. She just that look. It's like, okay, dude, is you sure this your grandmama? She looking at you like you a stranger. Oh, man. All right, well, you got to go, Rollo. Rollo, you got to go. Yeah, I can't bring you back, Rollo. She ain't had to say nothing. Like, Rollo got to leave. Yeah, Rollo, come on. Get back in the truck, man. Let's go. You bring the town slut. You bring the block hussy. She ain't got to say nothing to you. You know you off. You know you done stepped off. You know it. She doesn't have to say a word. She just looking at you like, is you out your damn mind? And because she understood, okay, I'm not going to hate on the fact if you slept with this little slut, but you sitting here talking about keeping her? What the hell did I raise you for? I never raised you to do that. She's bad for the bloodline. She's bad for the bloodline. You ain't going to bring her in the bloodline and sit her musty ass next to me. Folks going to go through the damn family tree. Here I am. Here's your mama. And then here's this thing you drug in. Because she doing some sex tricks you ain't used to. If she's better at sex than the other females you've been with, you keep her for that. It's like, okay, but when it's time to start the bloodline, it's like, stiff arm. No, baby, I can't commit to you. You ain't built. You ain't ready. I can't do that. I can't do that. I can tutor the chick I'm with now to do the sex tricks I want. You? No. No, you're bad to the bone in more ways than one. More like rotten to the core. No, the sex is off the chain. And that's about where your list of attributes end. Yeah, you're nice, you're polite, but you don't really add nothing. You don't really add nothing. That's how you're supposed to deal with that. You can't stop your sons from getting out there and whatnot. If she's a bad chick, temptation probably gonna get the better of his ass. But he's supposed to be smart enough to know, by the way, yeah, but you don't get to get in the bloodline. That bloodline is valuable. This is the other reason you can't have a family overrun with whores and sluts, because the sons do not value the bloodline. When they've been raised by a bunch of gutter harlots, they don't mind bringing more hoes into the bloodline. When a son sees that his bloodline has value, he don't just bring any old thing into it. When he's used to seeing hoes in the family, chicks in the family, niggas in and out the house in the family, he's going to bring a chick who gets down like that. When he sees women in the family, they don't do that. Oh, no. My bloodline has value. We got property. We got businesses. We got associations. We aspire to things. We're not just the smart kids in the class. Yeah, we are the smart kids in the class, but we are the productive kids in the class. We're the ones that folks write newspaper articles about and say, you going places. And then they say, yeah, nigga, you better go places because you're a part of our bloodline. We don't settle. We don't settle. When you're held to a standard, that goes all the way to your blood. You can't just bring any old slut through here. You cannot do that because your blood has value. But if you're a man and you do not see value in your blood, yeah, this kind of thing starts happening because you don't actually see any value in your bloodline. Because you were conditioned by looking at the people around you. Well, there's nothing valuable here. They just folks. And that's the problem. That's the issue. I want you to understand. Not telling you what you need to be doing here. But that's the way, if you got old women in the family, that's how they at very least supposed to handle that. That they expect you to be disciplined enough. That she raised you to be disciplined enough. That you knew who to take into the family and who not to. You're supposed to be saying that. They're supposed to be teaching you that. What the hell did you have them there for? You're supposed to have strong men understand that you're supposed to have control. It's supposed to be like, dude, I can handle the damn situation. That's what a man's supposed to be doing. Your grandmama ain't supposed to be sitting up there micromanaging you, but she's supposed to know that, hey, I raised you with enough sense to understand who gets let in the bloodline and who doesn't. I'm supposed to raise you to know who to make a commitment to and who wasn't, because this chick ain't like me. You're supposed to bring something home like her to keep the bloodline straight. And a man is supposed to protect the purity of the bloodline. That means he doesn't mix his blood with the street whores and gutter chicks. He don't mix his blood with that, because you're mixing your mother and your father and your grandmother and your grandfather's blood. You're mixing theirs with his. You're mixing theirs with his. This is what it means to have standards. That's what it means to have standards. And when you have standards as a woman, then you also have standards as a person. And your children and your sons will have standards. But when the standard in your family for the females is narcissism, criminal selfishness, degenerate sexual behavior, just understand this does unlimited amounts of damage. And it is a shame. It is a shame, and it is an atrocity to do this to another human being, much less to do this to your own children. Much less to do that to your children. As far as I'm concerned, that is unforgivable and inexcusable. That is unforgivable and inexcusable. So I'm calling on you to do better. I'm calling on you to be better. I'm calling on you to be higher than the slums you came from or the gutter behavior, because some of you were raised in nice suburbs, but your mama was on gutter stuff anyway. You raised in a middle class house and your mama's the biggest damn gutter slut there was. I'm calling on you to have class. I'm calling on you to have class. That's what I'm calling on you for. I didn't say it'll be easy. For a lot of you, it'll be reinventing the wheel. Hell, it'll be inventing a wheel. And I know it will not be simple, but it will be the most important thing you ever do. Too many of you were raised by low-class people whose lives were disposable. Those were their demons. Don't let their demons become yours. And many of you women, because this program is for the women tonight, many of you have allowed yourselves to become exactly the type of degenerate individuals females who raised you. If you're going to do anything to redeem yourself, then you have to be a warrior for the honorable feminine. You have to become a warrior for that. You cannot sit on the sidelines and understand what the real thrust of tonight's program is. Silence is complicity. If you are silent, you're a co-conspirator. If you are not speaking against it, you are complicit with it, because it needs you to remain silent. These atrocities cannot happen with you talking. They happen when you remain silent. You, your sisters, your aunts, your cousins, online, offline, at your job, at the mall, in court, This happens because you're silent. And if you're silent around monsters, the only person who is silent around monsters is another monster. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. If you are new here to The Business, welcome to the program that all your favorite YouTubers love to hate watch. Click that red subscribe button. Click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time that we are here. If you haven't signed up for our Patreon, we do that every Saturday, 12 noon Central Time. You're definitely welcome to join us for that as well. Been a whole lot going on. Just letting you all know. Might be a good idea to join. It's up to you. But yeah, don't say I didn't offer it to you. But yeah, I'll just leave that there. I want to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, CashApp, Super Chat, Venmo. All of you are welcome. Thank you very much for your support. I want to thank all of you who tuned into tonight's program and watched live or recorded. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of The Business. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, Mr. Jason Black. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, handle your business or you're evil.